Welcome into an all new episode of Panthers on Tap. I'm Curtis Round, joined by Ricky Rains, coming to you guys on a Wednesday evening. Back to back to back victories for the Carolina Panthers. It's a beautiful thing. Before we get into that, just want to send our thoughts out to Bryson. He's at home recovering. Just had a trip to the hospital, had a blood clot in his lungs. So we're sending all the thoughts his way. I'm sure you guys had seen him post some things on Twitter about that, but glad he is home. Hoping the best on his recovery and hoping everything goes well for him. And I'm sure he's watching at some point because he loves this show. That's just him, man. He's gonna be watching.
Curtis, I was hoping that Bryson was just doing an elaborate scheme. I had this picture of him as Ferris Bueller on his day off, right, sitting at home with his phone up to his ear, hitting buttons on the keyboard and stuff, making sound effects. Like, hey guys, I'm not gonna make it in, but no, I'm just trying to make light of a serious situation. Hopefully Bryson is feeling better. I see he's already reposted the stream, so he is tuned in, watching us. I'm sure he's feeling very good on whatever drink they have given him at the hospital. So keep enjoying that beverage, man, and we're going to hold it down for you tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, and I'll speak for Bryson here for a little second. I'm sure he appreciates every single one of you guys who reached out to him. So we appreciate you guys on Twitter and wherever those channels were. So thank you for that, and prayers up to him. Yep. But man, another win in the books. Ricky was saying before the episode, man, this team, they just keep on winning when we didn't think they'd be winning.
And we talked about the schedule. The early part of the schedule was the time to take advantage and win. But the way that they started those first couple of games, it just, it made it seem so unrealistic, man, for them to get back to where we had hoped they could be at the beginning of the schedule. And now look at them. There was a point in time, if you'd have done the schedule prediction, Curtis, that we probably would have been sitting right here around 4-3, 5-3 after this week. Maybe some of the games are different wins, right? I think that some people were a little bit more scared about the Cowboys. Probably predicted us beating New England or Arizona or something. But hell, we're here, man.
Amen. Amen. Hey, the chat is thriving. We'll get to that, and then we'll talk about what we're drinking this evening. And we also got to hit that video at some point.
We might have to just hit that first, right? Before we
let's do it.
Let's hit the video. It's a 3-game Panthers win streak, man. 3 games. 3 games. I tell you what. I
was waiting for it, man.
I'm not going to miss my opportunity to
do it. That's your calling card at this point. I see people tagging you in that shit. I
love it. I love it. Keep it coming, man. Hey, look, I look forward to being able to wear this stupid thing and say that saying as often as possible, because that means the Carolina Panthers are winning football games. So here we are.
Exactly. Let's get to our chat here for a little bit. Miss Rain's coming in here. Tough win in New Jersey. New Jersey. The Rocket can win, but I would feel better to have Bryce against the Bills. His energy, intensity, and excitement will be missed. Need defense and special teams to put us in a great field position.
Sometimes I think y'all got the wrong reins on this show. I think you should just bring her on and let her give her breakdown, because she's on point with all this.
Zachary or not, it's if Bryce isn't 100%, I'd rather have him rest this week. We have some tough games coming up either way. I think we have a great chance to beat the Bills. Hey, we're going to get into that. So I don't want to dive too much into it, Zach, but
I feel that same way about Bryson, by the way. If Bryson's not 100%, let him rest. Come back when you're 100%. We need him on his A game.
Dylan near Jordan flu game for Bryce this Sunday. Panthers by 3. Hey, man, I said that today too. I would love that.
I'm nervous about having this conversation with y'all when we start talking about this game this coming week, because I have been, Mr. Predict the Wins, Ricky, on this show, and I'm a little bit nervous about that conversation later on tonight.
Steven Belk, let's go, fellas. I think Belk had what, man? He had a whole dinner ready.
Yeah.
Brisket,
Hey,
some
Steven's been doing his thing
Hefeweizen.
on Wednesdays, man. He had brisket and a grapefruit Hefeweizen dialed up for tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad you know
Steven,
how
I
to
hope that's
pronounce that
great, man.
beer.
I know I'm enjoying mine that I got.
I do not know how to pronounce that beer. I just say, give me a half. I'm not even gonna try.
Hefeweizen, baby.
I love the beer too. Like that's one of my
Yeah,
faves.
it's a good one, man.
And Steven, I believe you're the one of the
Won
shirt.
the shirt.
We sent it out this week. It is supposed to be there tomorrow to your
Oh
house.
yeah.
So hopefully you get that tomorrow. We appreciate you. And if you guys have not seen Steven, I'll try to keep his comment up, like others in here, is a member of the Tap Room, which is our membership program through YouTube. Um, and if I can pull this up quickly, or if Ricky can for me, in the upper
Yep.
left-hand corner here shortly is going to be a QR code. If you scan that with your phone, it'll take you to our YouTube channel. Right next to subscribe is a button that says join. You click that, you can become a member. It is $3.99 unless you're an Apple user on a phone. Then it's $4.99. It is a monthly fee. We'll be doing some giveaways, and I think we're also going to be doing some sort of giveaway for our members when it comes to merchandise. So stay tuned for that. We're still in the works with that, but that will be coming. I trust me when I say you will not regret becoming a member, because I think we're going to do some cool things with some merch we got coming down the line. So let's keep going here with the chat quickly, and then
We
we'll get
had
into
one
our
more
trades.
member thing on there that I saw. It's actually right underneath you where you are.
Yeah, fans being scared pissing you guys off. I said earlier we were much worse last year and went toe to toe with both the NFC and AFC champs. Should have won both. No team should instill fear in us. Yeah, I used to be that person, honestly. Just the track record of this team, but I kind of agree after, all the bullshit we've dealt with. It's like we as fans need to take this all in and don't take this shit for granted and ride with it, man. Like own it. Like don't be as scared of it just because they have had several losing seasons. You don't know when you're going to be back to this point, and that's the kind of way I take it. Ricky, what about you?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up. Don't put my name. Because this is a conversation that I've seen, and a lot of the things that we look at, right? We see on social media. It's not necessarily the conversations that you hear, at a bar or even at like a Harris Teeter where you just bump into someone, you happen to be wearing a Panthers hat or wearing a Panthers shirt or whatever. Most of those conversations are just sort of like hey, how about the Panthers, man? They're actually winning some football games, right? I know that's the ones that I'm having. Everyone just wants to stop and be like, how about this team? And that's a great conversation. But then you get on social media, and it's exactly what Don't Put My Name just brought up. People are like, yeah, but that was against this schedule. The schedule is so soft, man. Like, we're about to play these really difficult teams. Okay, sure. But every team in the NFL plays the teams that are on their schedule, right? We've seen the Green Bay Packers, who a lot of people are scared of here in 2 weeks. We've seen them lose to the Browns, right? Didn't we see that earlier this season? And the Cleveland Browns wouldn't scare you, would they? The Dallas Cowboys come in, we beat them, and they're like, yeah, their defense sucks. Then they go and they beat the Commanders. I don't care who was playing quarterback for the Commanders. The Commanders are a team that everyone feared and said they were a total team, and that Jaden Daniels in such a great situation. Look at it, man. It's the NFL. Anybody can win or lose on any given Sunday. You go out there, you handle the businesses in front of you. The Carolina Panthers have done it. Hell no, I'm not scared. I can respect teams and feel like you might be mismatched. I'm not scared of shit, man. What are we talking about here? We've gone seasons where we've won one football game the entire damn season. That scares me, right? That scares me. We've won 4 already, man. I'm jubilant.
Jared says, hello, gentlemen. Tip of the cap to you both.
Up, Jared?
Appreciate you, Jared. A lot of prayers up for Bryson. Appreciate you all for that. Keaton in here as well. Tony Salazar, who I believe got, I want to say, Andy Dalton's autograph today. He was at the practice. Keaton, we're glad you're here as well. Keaton just became a member. I'll get to that. Bryson says, thank you for the kind words, gentlemen. Excited to be back next week. Hey, we're excited to see you. Yeehaw.
Yeah.
Look at that. He's ready. Make it true money. What's good, everyone? Appreciate you. Nate's in here. How's it going, guys? Sir Icy Bryce makes our O-line better if pressure comes. Andy is cooked.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
We definitely
Absolutely.
will. Keep pounding, family. Let's go get the dub this week and protect the
What up,
bank,
KB?
KB. Appreciate you tapping in. But we got 2 new members here. I mentioned it. Keaton Bullock. Cheers to you first. Thank
Cheers,
you, sir.
Keaton.
He's been a
He's in Alaska, right? Isn't that our Alaskan friend?
yeah, and he's been a listener of ours for a while.
Hell yeah. Appreciate you, Keaton. Glad you're in there. You're going to enjoy the stuff that we do with that.
Michael Cuddy is back. I think he won some. He won. Did he won one of yours?
He did. Yeah. I can't remember which one it was. It might have been the T-Mac poster, possibly.
Yeah, that's what
The
it was.
print from Joe Bello.
Yeah.
I think that
And
might
we also
be
have
it.
another member, Zach Bauer. Appreciate you. Cheers,
Zach. I loved what he said in here too. If you saw his comment, he says, just because it's a dry week for me and I'm sipping on Baja Blast doesn't mean I can't join the tap room. Cheers, fellas. Hell yeah, I love that, man. Cheers. Good luck drying out, and hopefully you know open up a little bit of data there for you for the weekend.
All right. Well, you saw us drinking already.
Oh, I got my bud right here too. I got to shout him out. Evan Wheatley. That's my buddy Evan, former roommate of mine here in Charlotte, man. Went to high school together. I've known Evan for a long time, man. One of the best dudes I've known, man. What up, Evan?
Ricky, what do you got for us tonight?
So I didn't go champagne. I was tossing and turning between 2 options tonight. I had a couple bottles of Pinot Noir that I've been looking at, that I've been, eyeing and thinking maybe I'll open one of them up. But then I thought about when you drink red wine, makes your whole damn mouth red, right? And I was like, I'm going to be sitting there just drinking red wine. I'm going to look like an idiot. It'll look like I'm chewing on jam or something the entire episode. So I went with a double dry hopped IPA called Graveyard Shift. And you can see it's got all of the horror, usuals right there. And the reason I thought this was appropriate too, obviously we're getting into the spooky season. We're getting close to Halloween, right? This is from Westbrook Brewery, by the way, South Carolina Brewery. The reason I thought that kind of made sense to me too, I need a zombie-like performance this weekend from the likely quarterback that will be playing for us, because I'm not quite sure he's all the way alive. I'm not quite sure he's all the way dead. So I need something spooky to happen if we end up trotting who's been referred to as the Rocket, but I think he's supposed to be the Red Rifle, but it might be closer to, a red Nerf gun at this point. So I'm a little bit nervous about that.
Yeah, I got the good old Oktoberfest, one of my favorite fall beers. Dabbling on that. I was not doing champagne again. I'm just tired of the headaches at this point.
It's kicking my Thursday morning's ass every time we do the champagne, man.
But real quick, Ricky, just really off topic, favorite horror character or horror film, I guess. Who's your villain of choice out of all of them?
Oh man, that's tough. The original Strangers movie is one that I really enjoyed with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. I thought that was terrifically done, and it's loosely based off of a true story that happened in North or South Carolina, I believe. But as far as characters, now this one's off the beaten path a little bit, I guess. I really enjoy No Country for Old Men. The dude that walked around with the cattle gun and popped right in the head. I enjoyed the way that he spoke. I enjoyed how quiet he was. When he did the flip a coin and was, don't put it in your pocket. That whole thing, man, I loved it, man. So I'd probably say that he's probably my sentimental favorite right there.
Out of the ones on your cans, all right. That's kind of what I was.
Out of the ones on my can, so I got Freddy, Michael Myers, Jason, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Junior. I'd probably go Michael Myers. I enjoy a good Halloween movie, man. I always enjoy the Halloweens. I thought that even Rob Zombie's batshit crazy Halloweens were entertaining. They were. Yeah, they're entertaining, man. I thought that the new ones were even pretty interesting, man. I enjoyed those too. Yeah. So I think that Michael Myers would be my guy.
Yeah, it's Michael Myers for me. That's always been my go-to.
Not being able to go to sleep because some claw is going to scratch me up just pisses me off, man. I can't even watch that stuff. I like sleeping too much for that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, let's get into the game. We'll start off here. Jets, Panthers. Panthers, ugly win up there in New Jersey and at Meadowlands Stadium there. And Ricky, give it to me. One big takeaway from this game, initial thoughts on this victory that came at a cost, and we'll obviously talk about that.
I had one last thing I had to do, and I meant to do this before we got into what we're drinking, but I've got to bring this up because I said that I would.
Oh yeah,
This is the
here we go.
cocktail menu here for the evening. Our guy Clay Wright on Twitter. I said something about trying to choose who I was or what I was going to be drinking, and he says, "I'm sure it will be better than whatever Curtis is drinking." Which, by the way, I love that kind of animosity, hate jabbing right there. Right, like that's purely out of fun. Clay has been a listener for us for a while now, and he loves to go back and forth on it. But I just wanted to make a nice little graphic here, and it's got like the Carolina blue martinis back there. You know, maybe that's some Panther punch from the really cool Panthers fans tailgate that they got down there. I thought I'd make a little something just to razz you a little bit, Curtis. But okay, I'll remove it. We'll
Y'all
move
giving
on,
me
then I'll be
shit from
mature.
my wine days. All
I'll be
right.
mature for the rest of my evening now. One big takeaway from that football game is how about that Panthers defense, man? And I know that Jets offense sucks. I get it. We talked about that all week leading up to it. And we basically made them bend the knee and bring in Tyrod Taylor. You know what I mean? Like halfway through the game. I know that Justin had to go out for a second because of the big hit by Nick Scott. Nick Scott, by the way, I didn't think that was really that much of a penalty. I think that was a late slide. Hey, look, if that's what you're out there to do is be an enforcer and you want to lay the lumber down, I'm cool with it, man. Like that actually was probably one of my favorite Nick Scott plays that I can think of. Put that on the highlight reel and just run it 3 or 4 times in a row, and that's a good 45-second clip to me. But the defense, man, Derek Brown, what an absolute manimal out there. Nick Scorton, obviously I'm a big fan of Nick Scorton. I was pre-draft. I can't be happier that he's wearing a Carolina Panthers jersey. I was just thinking of our friend on here. Who was it? Wesley. I can't think of his Wesley Carrier that said that he bought the Nick Scorton jersey. I'm envious right now, Wesley. If you listen to this episode, man, I'm very envious because I have honestly been thinking about going ahead and popping the tag off and buying that jersey. And I haven't bought a Panthers jersey in probably a decade, man. But Scorton is someone that I believe in, the personality, everything. Trayvon Merrick, with his calling card of the disguised blitz and the timing that he shows as a weapon. J.C. Horn. Oh, holy shit, man. Like those 2 interceptions, you talk about critical moments, first of all, catching one in the end zone one-handed with absolutely perfect trail technique. I have seen so many Jets fans trying to get their rocks off talking about, yeah, but Josh Reynolds burned JC on that interception. He just got lucky that the ball was underthrown. He's literally playing because he has safety help over top. It was exactly how he should have played that. He showed you the ability to accelerate and make a play on the ball, made a one-handed catch. It was phenomenal. One of the better interceptions and plays on a ball from a defensive back that I've seen in a while. But then the other one, you want to talk about teach tape, man. His ability to get right up in his grill, backpedal, turn his hips, locate the ball, make the interception.
He looked like the wide receiver on that play.
He looked like he knew the route better, right? I mean, that is just, it's phenomenal stuff. I thought that honestly all around was really good. The Bryce injury, obviously, man, that one soured everything for me. I hated to see that. We'll talk a little bit about the offense and all that kind of stuff. Rico Dowdle, I thought still looked really sharp. I thought that Chuba looked like he was still getting his sea legs underneath him. And I'm sure we'll get into all that. And then Xavier Legette, I would be very remiss if I didn't just say, hell yeah, Xavier Legette. Hell yeah.
Ricky said everything I wanted to say, so I'll just shut up. No. I'm going to reiterate a lot of this stuff, man. The defense, they deserve to be talked about first here because they have been dominant these past couple of weeks. And what they put out this past Sunday, honestly, it was the victory in this game. And without them, I don't know if we're talking about a win tonight. So I just want to give them all the credit. You talked about Derek Brown. That guy is throwing around offensive linemen like they're children. I mean, it's ridiculous. He is a menace out there. I've always said, can DB come back better than or where he was at prior to the injury? And I think he's better right now. Like he's playing at a whole nother level.
I wouldn't argue with you, bro. That's crazy to say.
Yeah, it's nuts. It is nuts because those injuries aren't easy to come back from.
And he was already one of the best at his position.
Exactly. So he's playing at all-time level. Got to shout out J.C. Horn. That was my MVP before the season started. He's playing outstanding. Had a really good season last year, earns a contract, and just keeps on rolling. proving why they gave him all that money. So he deserves a lot of credit. I agree with Ricky. Jets fans running their mouths about that play. JC kind of broke it down and said what the call was on that play and why he did what he did. Like, dude, like he did exactly what any corner should do and played it smart, and he just played the ball. That's what I love. Like he could have played the wide out there and probably knocked away, but he went all out for that ball, and in that moment was massive. Because you're looking at a play that could have turned the game around for the Jets too. So
Absolutely.
and then you said Merrick, man. I thought he had an outstanding game. That disguised blitz he had was beautiful. I want to see more than one in a game like that because he had a really good play on one, a great read, perfect timing. Like, when's the last time you saw a Panthers defender time a blitz like that? Like, it's been a while. Man.
Well, and the awesome part is that's one of Merrick's, like, that's one of his traits too, though, man. Like, I watched a ton of Vegas tape of him when he was a free agent, and that's why he was one of my favorites. And it's actually something that I pointed out multiple times. He has an innate ability, man, to disguise in time and this one was so perfect because you see Justin Fields literally look over, account for where he is. Like he is looking for Trayvon Merrick, sees that he's on the slot, assumes that means he's looking at man coverage, right? And then right when he turns his head, Trevin starts just creeping in, man, and he times it so perfectly. But he's been doing it. The Falcons game, you remember when he rocked Michael Penix Jr. from the ribs to his ass, like all the way down? He hit him in the upper torso, and it hurt him all the way down to his knee bones. It was one of the best, most jarring hits, and it was perfectly timed once again. Dude, Trayvon Merrick has been a key for Evero in this defense.
Been huge.
Bro.
He's been huge. And then you talked about we got to give flowers to Scorton and Umen Mielen because they kicked ass in this game. I thought this was Scorton's best game.
Yep.
I thought he was outstanding, and he had a lot. You want to go back to Ricky's talking points about Scorton in the pre-draft process, and then watch what he did this past week, and it's a carbon copy. It really is.
Yeah.
So he was outstanding, and I'm really excited about these rookies because they're all showing up in different points in all these games, and you're seeing it. And then Princely too got his first one this week, and he was kind of battling some injuries in this game, and he stuck through it throughout. Kind of popped in and out every now and then, but he made a play too a couple times. So these rookies, man, they're showing out. We're getting impact from second and third round draft picks, which is awesome. It's great. It's great.
And the second rounder just turned 21 years old. Like, this is the thing, and I'm going to talk just for a second about Scorton, if you'll allow me, Curtis, if that's okay with you. Because Scorton, I think, is starting to catch the eye of almost all Panthers fans, right? When it comes to looking at, like, the future for this defense. And then we've got a couple super chats. We're going to get to that right after this. Nick Scorton just turned 21. Nick Scorton just transformed his body coming out of college to the pros, right? Now, as a 20-year-old, when you go from 280, 283 pounds, whatever it is, and you drop all the way down to 250s, you're figuring out what your athleticism is. You're figuring out what your thresholds are. You're calibrating what is my strength, what is my weakness of my game right now, right? Because you're doing things differently, and you're trying to show, hey, this is how I can do things in the NFL. Those first few games, honestly, you remember this was the conversation we actually had about Bryce Young in his rookie season. It looked like he was calibrating the speed of the NFL and seeing what he could do, right? How his arm worked against certain windows. His arm worked against defenses. I think that was the trepidation that you saw from Nick Scorton at the beginning of this year. I think that you saw him unsure of exactly how to attack things. I think that his body is going to, look, dude, he's 21. You know that you start getting more grown man strength once you pass that 22, 23, 24 range. Your body is starting to fill out naturally, and you get to a stronger just level of physicality. That is something that is going to come from him. So him being a power player, but showing the quickness, showing the relentless motor that he is showing right now, I just think that that's the sky is the limit for this kid, Curtis. Him in coverage, playing the flats. I mean, his fluidity athletically is better than what I saw on his college tapes. And that even goes back to Purdue. Purdue, he was a lot lighter on his feet, but he didn't play a lot of coverage. He was a pin your ears back and go type of edge at Purdue. We're seeing him literally full circle here as an outside linebacker in this defense, and he still has the ability to kick inside. I'm so excited for him, man, and I'm so damn happy that we get to follow his trajectory here in Carolina, because I think that it's going to be one we're all going to really be happy about.
Well, you talk about his age. I'm excited to see him in an NFL program year 2 and 3. Like NFL programs are different, man, and in college is different than high school. Like that. I mean, that seems obvious, but like him when he's going to put on muscle more. He's going to refine his tools. He's going to be, being coached by some of the top coaches across the league and everyone in the NFL. And to see that growth that's what I'm excited for.
You're right, because it's his job now. That's not just part of like his game and then he goes to school. His profession is to work on that conditioning and the strength, man. And it's going to happen for him. That dude is a work ethic, like walking work ethic.
Let's go to the super chat, the super chats here. Jake, $4.99. Appreciate you. Curtis, I forgive you for breaking the superstition shoes, fellas.
Good call, Jake. I forgot that he did that, man. But you know what? Yeah, we'll allow it this time. Appreciate you, Jake.
Thick Nasty here, $4.99. How's that winning record taste, fellas? Cheers, and here's to protecting the bank this Sunday. Well, cheers, and then maybe hit that video because this victory is pretty damn good.
Cheers. Let's do it.
Cheers. I do want to mention Ricky, and then I'm gonna try to jump to the offense here. But Ricky talked about Nick Scott, the hit. Ricky, I think you're on crack. I thought that was a flag every single time I saw the play.
Hell no.
But I will say this: I love the hit. I thought it set the tone in that game. It knocked Justin Fields into yesterday. I mean, that was a massive hit. I was shocked that he even was able to come back in, because the way it looked at the first, like when you slow it down, it's a little bit different. But when you play a thing at full speed, I mean, you could hear that shit on TV. Like it was a big hit. And I love that. Like you said, replay it over and say, hey, this is Nick Scott. I'm like, holy shit.
This is your value. Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, man, he's a running quarterback, right? Like, that's who Justin Fields is. It's part of his game. But there's something that has to be done here about a running quarterback being able to turn into a runner, right? You pass that line of scrimmage, you are a runner. The same way that a receiver is after a catch, the same way a running back is after a handoff. This guy, he gave himself up, sure, but he gave himself up while Nick Scott was already bearing down to make the play. Like, how is Nick Scott supposed to be coming from full speed from depth and pull up on the reins because Justin Fields decides he wants to slide and give himself up? Rico Dowdle can't slide and give himself up, can he? Like, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't get the same treatment. So I just think that at some point, man, there's got to be a conversation about, yes, you want to protect players. Player safety is a point of emphasis. I understand that. And you don't want him heading, but he's not head hunting when the guy goes down, and that's how he hits him. He wouldn't have hit Justin Fields in the head if he didn't go down so late. Justin Fields has to time that exactly the way that he did in order to get popped in the head. Otherwise, he gets hit in the chest, he gets hit in the ribs, and he's still probably in the blue tent because Nick Scott came down with bad intentions, man. Like that dude was looking to put some pain in you. But he wasn't looking to draw a flag, I don't think. That didn't seem dirty to me. It didn't even seem like foul. That to me just seemed like a really poorly timed slide by Justin Fields, and Nick Scott got the penalty for it.
I agree with your sentiment. I don't agree with the rules. I just think that's any NFL quarterback is getting that flag thrown 9 times out of 10. Unless
shout out Sir Icy. Sir Icy was at the game and got to witness JC Horn's 2 interception game in person. Hell yeah, Icy. I love that, dude.
I love that. Let's go to the offense here and let's talk about the 2 running backs, because that was the big story coming in this game. How are they going to split them up? It's pretty much 50-50. It was every other draw or every series that they went out there. First it was Chuba, then it was Rico, and then I think in the second half it was Rico to start and then Chuba. So they just kept going back and forth. Um, and this is honestly kind of taken over the offensive conversation, really, Ricky, these past couple weeks. Deservedly so. Rico was showed out. Chuba was coming back from injury. But how did you think Canales handled that? And did you agree with the way he handled it? And would you change it up this week if it was your choice?
So I think that I'm a little bit different about like needing them to get alternating series. I don't necessarily have to have that. I don't think that that's what needed to be the strategy. I think that you can pivot from that if you want to come into the game with that being like your baseline of saying, "Hey, look, I'd like to alternate and give them like an entire series work for them to get in their rhythm." We've talked about ad nauseum every show, and even ESPN give them a little bit of credit somehow. Everyone has talked about both of these running backs being kind of like rhythm running backs, needing to kind of get into their groove and find their momentum, find what's working for them, setting things up, using their physicality, using their speed, all of those things to really be their most effective. So I'm okay if you want to do that, but I think that you also have to have the adaptability to change that strategy in the game. And I think that what you saw, and I touched on my opinion on this at the very beginning of the show, I thought that Chuba still looked like he was working his way back into shape a little bit, but there was also a very clear difference in what they were doing with each player. I think that I didn't see a single outside power rush. I didn't see any pull action on any outside the tackle rush for Chuba Hubbard in the entire game. I think that Rico Dowdle had at least 3 or 4 of those, and those were his best runs. Chuba's 11-yard gain, that was his largest on the day, was just a straight up man run. And you had Jalen Coker in there, and he collapsed down, and he took the linebacker on the inside. Icky got to the second. But that was it. So I think that you're looking at 2 different schematic attacks. And I don't know if that's because, look, we've heard them talk about like the running backs have gone to the coaches, told the coaches what they like, what they prefer, what they want to run. I don't know if that's a thing that they're doing, or if this is something where they're saying, hey, power is working a lot for Rico. Let's keep running that for Rico. But why not extend that opportunity to Chuba is what I would say. I did want to bring this up because I knew this was going to happen, Curtis. I knew that we were going to talk about these 2 running backs, right?
Of course.
And for good reason. I'm also not insinuating that I wouldn't ride the hot hand with Rico. I would. I think that Rico is playing really well. I think that he's got a really good feel right now. And I just would continue that and look at Chuba and say, hey, dude, like, no disrespect here, man. But like, this guy is just rattling off yardage. Like he's just doing his job, man. We're gonna keep doing that. He's being efficient. But just to remind everybody how the first 4 weeks of the season went, right? Because both of these running backs were on this roster. These running backs were used.
But it's different now, man. It's
different, but it only got different for the last couple of weeks. But before that, you had Chuba week 1, 16 for 57. That's 3.6 yards per rush, 3 receptions on 5 targets, 32 yards and a touchdown. Rico week 1, 3 rushes for 12 yards, 2 receptions on 3 targets for 4 yards. Chuba week 2, 10 for 38, 5 receptions on 6 targets, 39 yards and a touchdown. Rico 6 for 9, 1 reception on 1 target, 10 yards. Chuba 17 for 73 in week 3. 2 receptions on 3 targets for 3 yards. Rico, this is when Rico got his most carries in week 3. 10 carries for 30 yards. That's 3 yards per carry. 1 touchdown, 1 reception on 1 target for 8 yards. Week 4, Chuba 10 for 49. 3 receptions, 3 targets, 20 yards. Rico 9 for 32. 1 reception, 1 target, -2 yards. I'm not saying that means we shouldn't keep riding the hot hand. I'm just saying let's not act like this is some sort of full-blown conclusion that Rico for the rest of the year is going to be your number 1 running back. No. You need to run the same thing that you were running with Rico right now. Run it with Chuba, see what happens. And if Chuba starts getting back into form, right? He gets his legs back underneath him. He's back in conditioning. He gets back in it, man. Then ride what works. Ride both of them. Hell, give them both 15 carries a game, you know?
Well, I know I'm not saying that, so I don't know if you're talking.
No, I'm not talking directly to you. It was a more broad, general thing.
I think it's you ride the hot hand, and then if Chuba comes back and he's playing really well, and
yes,
he's playing the Chuba of 2024? Absolutely split it, but he's not right now. And that's the thing that I struggle with. I think they forced him back in here. I agree with you. I think he was trying to get his feet from under him in this last game. But you rolled him out as a starter when you had the top 3 back in the NFL right now, Enrico Dowdle.
So that bothers you?
That drives me insane because you had
Is
a
it
guy.
just the name? Is it just like the officiality of it?
No, I had friends texting me from other teams saying, "Why isn't Rico in right now?" Like other teams are saying, other fans realize it too. Rico is the better back right now, and that's okay. Chuba, I'm sure, is going to get back there. I don't doubt that. That's why I'm not saying like, oh, Rico's the number one all the way. No. Rico's the number one right now. I think that's clear. Someone in the chat said he's way more explosive right now, and that's okay. That's not a knock on Chuba. You guys have been hurt the past couple of weeks, but Rico is the guy right now, and I think Dave is trying so damn hard to keep those two together. But we need to. The reality is Rico is playing at an outstanding level right now, and you need to take advantage of that while it's working. And that doesn't mean to say, throw Chuba to the wayside the rest of the year. No. But until that he gets his feet back under him and he's running at a good clip and he's not tap dancing in holes. Yep. I don't want to see the tap dance shit. We saw that with Miles Sanders.
Yep.
Take the hole and cut it. Let's go. Like that's the thing right now Rico is doing, and I get it. And I see the comparison. Yeah, they're not getting the same runs and all that. But Rico, it is clear when they're both on the field which one is the lead dog. And I think right now it's Rico, and that's okay. But I think they need to realize that, and let's feed him at the moment.
Well, and that's I think that's why I brought that up just a little bit, specifically for this game, Curtis, because when they use so much of that power outside rush for Rico, what they were doing was kind of mitigating a soft spot on our offensive line in this game, which was Austin Corbett. Austin Corbett was getting kind of tossed around a little bit. The interior of that offensive line wasn't as strong with Corbett in there. And when they were running that power, they had Icky coming out to the side, and then they had Brady running out. And they were running outside on the outside shoulder of Austin Corbett. They weren't going in and using him as the read. It wasn't his gap that he was reading. And Chuba, on a lot of those inside zone runs that he was doing, it looked like that was the read. He was running to the left side. He still didn't run to the right. He was running inside zone to the left, which means he's keying on what Corbett is doing. And that just wasn't a really beneficial thing, I don't think.
That was one thing I wanted to ask you about is I didn't understand the runs to the left in this game. I mean,
it was a lot. I don't know if
it was a lot of success the other weeks to the right with Brady and Cade Mays and who was Yosh even when he was over there on the right side. And then all of a sudden this week it was like totally flip-flopped. And I don't know if that was something they saw with the Jets.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That one I didn't understand because I agree. I thought Corbett struggled in this one.
Yeah, I think that was a game plan type of deal. I think that they liked their matchups better. Icky was fantastic on the left side. I thought Icky was outstanding. They like to run the motion over to Icky's side too. They got Tremble moving out there. We didn't even make mention of Mitchell Evans at the top of the show when we were talking about the rookies, but money-making Mitch.
We weren't even talking about offense at that point, but
he was tremendous too. So I think that was more of just a matchup type thing for this game, but it was interesting to me that they ran away from Brady Christensen's sides, away from Taylor Moton's side, when Austin Corbett was pretty clearly not as effective over there. Now, Corbett, a couple times when he was able to get out in space, I thought that he still showed the athleticism that they seem to love so much about Corbett. He still does move pretty well for a big guy. But hell, not like Brady, not like Icky. We've all seen the viral clip, right, of Penei Sewell and I'm imagining him just screaming too the entire time he's running like a locomotive, like just like just something crazy. But we've all seen it. He's running like 38 miles an hour. He's basically in a residential the way that he's speeding down into the end zone. But Icky can do the same, man, or Icky can do similar to what Penei Sewell showed there. He can really get out in space and he can really haul it. He can get to his marks. He can get to his spots, man. And I think that they're starting to run that a little bit more with Icky. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
What did you think of, while I'm thinking of it, what did you think of the play? Because this drove me nuts. And it was the Chuba Hubbard screen were all three linemen. I mean,
Man.
there was no one, and they were just
Yeah.
standing there like, what is going on here?
Well, and I was at a friend's house watching this game, right? And so I didn't hear the broadcast of this, but apparently you could hear Chuba yell "go" when he caught it. I didn't hear that because there was no volume. It was a large screen in a garage.
It looked like
right?
they were standing in cement, man.
They were standing in cement. They didn't see it coming as quick as they did. And if they'd have got going, man, I mean, that's a walk into the end zone. Like, honestly, that's a walk into the end zone. But at the same time, you can't tell Chuba, hey, pull the reins back a little bit and go.
He did the right thing.
You got to do that because you're going to allow that defense to close in and erase all that space that you got there.
Yeah.
Eat the space. If you have grass in front of you, eat it, right? That's the first thing they're going to teach you is eat any open grass that you see, but keep your head up so that you can see the next move. And I thought that he did that pretty well.
I want to go to one of our new members here quick. Grayson, appreciate you becoming a member.
Cheers, Grayson.
Cheers. And he even had a comment here. He said, you just became a member. Love watching you guys. Usually Spotify listeners. Sorry. Love you guys. Appreciate you, Grayson.
You know, Grayson, you're like the second or third person in the past 2 weeks that have said that, you know, they used to listen exclusively on Spotify. I think it was the victory video that enticed someone else. And they're like, well, I got to turn the damn YouTube on now and see what this thing is. Because I keep hearing this honky tonk, keep hearing the guys talk about it and say how good it is. Then they came over and they watch it. And now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm going to watch on YouTube too. So I love hearing that you guys want to watch it. The YouTube numbers really help us out. Gets us in the algorithm a little bit more. It allows us to get our viewership, which can open up sponsorships and all that kind of stuff so that we can bring cooler stuff for everybody. So very much appreciate that, Grayson. Welcome to the tap room, man.
And I apologize because I missed this and I'm going to make up for it here. Speaking of partnerships, we are in a partnership with Unreal UNRL. They put out some great NFL. What am I trying to say here?
Apparel.
Thank you.
There you go.
NFL apparel, and they just rolled out their newest version. And if Ricky, maybe you can pull up a picture for me while I'm talking. They just rolled out some new sweatshirts. They got a crew neck. They also have a hoodie. I know a lot of the hoodies are already sold out for the Panthers, but the crew necks, I believe the last time I checked, a lot of them were still in size. But this episode is brought to you guys by them. They do some great stuff. We've partnered with them. I know they sent Bryce in a shipment. So we'll be showing that off. I personally don't have it yet. But once we do, we will be showcasing that. You guys check it out. I know the prices might seem a little costly, but I will tell you this, their apparel is some of the best ever. And I'm not just saying that because they sent me shit. It is quality. I know Ricky has bought stuff from them. I've had their jacket from last year. We had a sweatshirt the year before. It is some great stuff. It really is. It's no joke. And that's why it is on the pricier end. You know, get what you pay for type of thing. But it is some good stuff. And honestly, hats off to Adam Thielen because I don't know if Carolina would be in this partnership without him because he's kind of been like the lead on the NFL for this merchandise. But there it is. That is the Panthers hoodie. As you can see already, they only have extra small and smalls available in adult sizes for the hoodie. But I believe, Rick, if you go to the crew neck, I want to say, yeah, so the crew neck it's out of the large, but everything else is still available. So go check them out. Again, it's great material. It's not going to shrink. Again, it's UNRL. I think they got another drop coming up here next month, I believe it is.
Yep.
So they'll be doing stuff, but they drop a couple things every year. And it's outstanding stuff. Go check them out. Again, this episode is brought to you guys by them as well. So I just want to shout them out because I forgot to off the top.
And then we've got two super chats that we need to get to, but I'm going to take the advice of one of our members here real quick because I need another beer and we've been yapping about how good everything is for a second. So when everything feels really good, you know what the best thing to do is? Play the video. tell you what, that third play of that video got Curtis so hot and bothered he had to take
I'm
the hoodie off in the
sweating.
middle of it. Look
I
at
don't even have a
that.
Panthers shirt on under this. I'm
Look at
sweating my
that.
ass
You
off.
got him over here just wearing a Firehouse Dalmatian t-shirt. That video got him so
Dog,
warmed
I'm a
up.
sea
Look at
dog.
that. I tell you what. I tell you what.
I put on a
Woo!
sweatshirt because I'm in the basement and I thought it'd be cold down here, and I am sweating my ass off.
Woo! All right, let's get to these super chats real quick.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so we missed this one earlier. And again, we will get to every super chat and every member comment that you put up. If we miss it and you need us to do it and we don't catch it on our own, man, make some fucking noise in there. Tell us. We'll get to it. Tiger from Penny's. Hold on now. Pennsylvania. Okay. Man, that one really just tested how many beers I've had tonight. We don't need a competition. Rico and Chuba complement each other well, just like how the Lions use Montgomery and Gibbs. Got to run them both against the weak Bills defense. I agree, Tiger from Pennsylvania. Cheers, first of all. Appreciate the super chat, man.
Cheers.
I don't know if I've seen that name, but he is a member, so I appreciate you being in here, bro.
I agree with that. I'm going to jump in because I do think the Lions from time to time, they will ride the hot hand. And that's just what I want to see, like ride the hot hand. I don't disagree. I do think they complement each other well, and I'm glad we have both of them. But I do think at points when you have a guy and Gibbs, like when Gibbs is playing really well, you're going to ride him. When Montgomery's playing really well, they ride him a lot. So like, I think that's not to discount the other dude. And I think people need to get away from that. Like, I'm not discount. I love Chuba. Like Chuba's the big league chew that, Ricky had last year. Like that was my fantasy, pick. Like I love Chuba, but like right now Rico's the guy, and I'm sorry, but I'm riding that hot hand until he proves me otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's a really astute thing to point out, because also what I think is relevant to that is that the Lions literally just had their coach come out and say, I think we've been maybe doing a little bit too much Gibbs and not enough Montgomery, because Montgomery had been the more effective runner. Now Gibbs went absolutely like nuclear the other night in their game this week. I mean, every time he touched the ball, he ran for like 3,000 yards. I think he had like the NFL record for season yards in a half. I mean, he was insane in that game. But they have enough self-awareness to know that, hey, if we're not doing this the right way, we're not going to be stubborn about sticking to our pregame plan. We're going to need to like make in real lifetime adjustments. And that's, I think, the only thing that I would look for from Canales. But this is also a new problem for the Carolina Panthers. They haven't. Canales
has a good one to have, though.
Yeah, it's a great new one to have, but it is a new one. And anytime you got a new situation, it might take a second to feel comfortable with it, man. You know what I mean? You start dating a new girl, just because she's a smoke show doesn't mean that you're going to be a rock star and be on your A game, right? You might fumble around and be an idiot for a couple of weeks. But once you find your groove, man, and you get comfortable with the fact that your girl's prettier than everybody else, then you're going to be fine, man. You just got to acclimate to that. It's not every day that the pretty girl says yes to going to prom, right?
God damn it, you are great with analogies. I love it, man. All right, let's go to Shan here. $10. Assuming Rico continues to hoop the way he has, do we sign him long term? Because we don't know about Brooks' durability just yet. I'll tell you what. I should have said it like you. I screwed that up. That was it.
You had a great opportunity. Do it now. I want to hear Wisconsin Curtis.
Tell you what. I tried. I don't have the cowboy hat. It just
all right, chat. I need y'all to rate Curtis's I tell you what.
Another couple beers, maybe it'll be better. What I learned about Canales this year with Dowdle is he does like Rico Dowdle. Like he has talked about his when he was in Tampa Bay and how I think a coach there was like, hey, you need to check this guy out. And he's like, oh yeah, I see what you're talking about here. And he talked about that this past week, I believe. I wouldn't be opposed to this at all because Brooks is not a guarantee. A running back coming back from 2 torn ACLs it's not a guarantee in the NFL. So I wouldn't mind this, but I'll also say, I think let's let the season play out. Let's see how this thing ends up at the end of the year. I know you got a lot of investment already in Chuba, so you got to take that with a grain of salt because they've already kind of, I would say, kind of pigeonholed themselves with this situation because Rico is playing so well right now. You also have Brooks coming back from injury. So there's a lot to play in here. I think it's too early. Let's let this season ride out. I think it's too early to answer that question. But the way he's playing right now, I would not be against that whatsoever.
I thought of it before I answered Shan. And by the way, cheers, Shan,
Yeah.
for the super chat. We
Thank
didn't
you.
even hit that yet. Cheers, Shan. Appreciate you. I thought about it while you were talking because I heard the natural voice that you were speaking with as opposed to your I tell you what voice. And it's like when a British person tries to do their American accent, right? Like an American person could do a British accent more often than a British person could do American. Because anytime a British person does an American, it's just sort of like, well, I got them cheeseburgers and the fries. Like, and that's how you did that. I tell you what, it was wonderful. I really like it. But they gave you a 10 out of 10 in the chat. And requested that you do it for the rest of the. Oh wait, that was only Thick Nasty.
Thank you.
Zachary Hennett gave you a 6 out of 10. Michael Cuddy gave you a -2 out of 10. That's rough, man. Cuddy, you are really such a difficult judge, bro. But okay, so getting to this, I do think that Shan, your last part of your super chat message here, because we don't know about Brooks's durability just yet. That's, I think, the really big kicker for me, man. I think that what you see with Rico, and I don't know if I said this on the episode last week or if I said this in a space last week. What you see with Rico, I think, is almost like this light version of what they anticipate being able to do with a guy like Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks, I think, is the kind of guy that when you see Rico break some of these big ones, and you're like, man, he is on the cusp of taking one of these for 65 and a tutty, right? But he ends up getting caught and it goes for 38, which is still a phenomenal run. And it's the explosive run that this offense has been missing. I think Jonathan Brooks takes that the distance. I think that Jonathan Brooks is a more explosive version of what Rico does. I think that Jonathan Brooks is a better receiver out of the backfield than Rico. I think that Jonathan Brooks is a better pass blocker. I thought that Jonathan Brooks had one of the best pass blocking games in all of that draft class. That was one of the reasons I was so high on him. I thought that that's what made him such a 3-down back for me, is that you don't got to take him off the field. He doesn't have weaknesses. He can run any scheme. He can do all those things. But what is his health going to be? So I think they reassess. I think they look to see where is he at. And we're going to have to be really confident and comfortable with this coaching staff and the training staff, guys. Like, and that might make everyone uncomfortable for a little bit, but we're going to have to trust them on that because they're going to make a decision here. And I don't know what that decision will be. You said it, Curtis. They might have pigeonholed themselves a bit with the contract for Chuba. There's verbiage in there. There are outs to get out of it. But a team is going to have to take on a little bit of a contract if you trade him. We can eat some of that, and I'm sure that we would to facilitate that if that's what they wanted to do. But I think they also really value the person and the locker room element of Chuba Hubbard. And I don't think that that's the message that this team and this front office would want to send to the rest of the locker room. Now, is the message of thanks, Rico, for being a baller. We're going to let you walk so that we can try to figure out what happened with all of our draft allocation to these running backs? I don't know, man. But that's also getting ahead of ourselves a little bit and assuming that Rico continues on the trajectory that he's been on. And this is not diminishing how great he's been. But we, here in Pantherland, we should all be very familiar with not counting your chickens before they hatch, right? Like, let's pump the brakes for a second. Let's slow down just a little bit, and let's let it all play out. But, Shan, thank you for that super chat.
Ricky's buddy, Evan Wheatley here.
Hell
Appreciate
yeah,
you becoming a member. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to the tap room, brother.
All right, I do want to get let's get to some more here of this game because you touched on a little bit, but I feel like we've been wrapped up with the chat, which I appreciate. I appreciate all you guys. But I do want to talk about Xavier Legette because this was a guy who the fan base was kind of out on earlier in the season. There's no doubt about it. Calls for his benching, calls to be traded, whatever it was. And he was the best receiver on the field this past Sunday, statistically. Showed out, best game of his career so far, 90-plus yards, a touchdown, had the big play at the end that kind of clinched it, that Andy kind of just floated up there and, said a Hail Mary and hoped he caught it. But no, Legette had a really big day, and I love this. What's the right word for it? Humble Xavier Legette. Like, he ain't celebrating. And I want to see that. Like, I hope he breaks out of that soon. But like, scores a touchdown, dapping up with T-Mac and going back. Like he's different right now. He's acting different out there. And I think he'll break out of that once, he gets a couple more of these under his belt where he feels like, he's kind of, made amends. And I don't even know if that's the right phrase to say, but like he just feels like he's let this fan base down a little bit or let himself down in these first couple weeks. But man, he's playing well right now. And that's another, it's great to see. Like, even when T-Mac had, was getting locked up in this game, Leggett comes through, and when Leggett's getting locked up, T-Mac comes. That's the type of stuff you need to see out of a successful offense. And I just love that Leggett had a day. He deserved it, and I'm glad he had his moment in this one.
Yeah, that last part really hits home for me, Curtis, is that when somebody is getting the attention of the defense's premier defender in the secondary, that would be Sauce Gardner playing against Tetaroa McMillan, right? When that is the case, you need somebody that you can trust to take advantage of it, not just to be another body, but to be a weapon. And I think that what Xavier Leggett showed is he can handle volume targets. I think that's one of the bigger things for me from this. Because, I saw a conversation, and Curtis, if you'll entertain me, I'll go through here. And when I was watching his film, right, I broke down the catch, yardage, and incompletions for Bryce and for Andy Dalton, because, when we saw Andy Dalton come in, everyone's like, well, man, Andy Dalton, he just unlocks Xavier Leggett. Like, right? Like, he's just so much better for Xavier than Bryce is and all this stuff. So with Bryce, he had 1 catch for 7 yards, target incompletion, 1 catch for 6 yards, 1 catch for 4 yards, 1 catch for 3, which was a tutty, and then 1 catch for 12. The first thing I'll say to that is, how would you like Bryce Young to change the routes that Xavier Leggett is being asked to run? When you look at those receptions, right, in the yardage, what would you like him to do? Because then look what Andy Dalton did with him. 1 catch for 15 yards, 1 catch for 6, 1 catch for 6, 1 incompletion, and then the icer at the end, 1 catch for 33 yards. That's the only one that was out of the realm of the other plays, right? No touchdown there. But I think what it showed for me with Bryce trusts him to make close quarter catches. When you're talking about short routes like that, there's not usually a whole lot of space around you. We saw Bryce put one on Xavier Leggett on his chest on a big third down. That was that 12-yard gain. Phenomenal catch by Xavier Leggett. He had a defender just draped over the back of him, and he made the catch. Really difficult catch. I think that's one of those trust instilling moments, man. And that is such a critical element for a young receiver like Xavier Leggett, who has battled some disappointing moments and who has some self-doubt, who has maybe some fan doubt, maybe some team doubt. Who knows? I don't know that the team doubt thing is really an issue, because you heard Dave Canales talk about almost shedding a tear for Xavier Leggett and his success a week ago. And now all of a sudden you have this game. I think that building this confidence, this is the train that needs to get rolling for this offense, because you're reintegrating Jalen Coker. Jimmy Horn Jr. is absolutely finding a spot and an impact on this football team. Mitchell Evans is pretty much telling Jatavian Sanders, hey, man, you snooze, you lose, right? Like, he's out there playing, 21, and he's jumping up and getting every single damn rebound. He's up big right now on JT Sanders as far as that tight end competition goes, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm happy for XL, but I think that we need to keep in mind that with Andy Dalton, there's going to be a lot of first read type of situations, one read situation, because his mobility is going to be a factor for him going forward. He also can force things. The play that he missed to Xavier Leggett concerned me, man, because he threw it off of his back foot, and that thing would have been intercepted if that corner turned his head. He turns his head, and even on that icing play, right, that 33-yard gain, that thing hung up in the air for a long damn time. Now, Xavier Leggett made a terrific adjustment to come back and get that. But, man, you play against a more aware, aggressive defense, those could have been really bad situations. So I hope that Xavier Leggett could continue on with the momentum. I don't think that if he has a down game once, every 2 weeks or something, I hope we don't forget that we enjoyed these moments. That's the big thing for me. Do not get too bummed or too high or too low about week-to-week production. Let's see what he does when the ball comes his way.
Yeah, I do want to touch on Mitchell Evans, because I'm not going to shy away from that, because I've been a big proponent of this tight end room succeeding and the lack thereof this tight end room these last couple of years. Mitchell Evans is growing on me more and more, man. He is just reliable. I mean, he catches everything thrown his way, good, bad, indifferent, low, high. It don't matter. The guy catches the ball. He's caught a couple touchdowns now, and that's all I want is reliability from a tight end. I want a safety blanket, and I think he's proven that up to this point. JT Sanders, I think it was it. I don't know if it was this game or the last game, but he had it might have been this one, a considerable drop that just drove me nuts. And I remember us texting in our group chat like, man, like time's running out here. So he was coming back from injury, so I'm going to give him a little grace there because I still do like him as a player. But Mitchell Evans, hats off to him, man. He's playing really well, and I love it. Again, another rookie have an impact in the game. I don't know when the last time you could say that with a lot of the draft picks in a class. So just hats off to him, and I hope he keeps it rolling.
Let's touch on this comment real quick if we can, because this is a nice comment that I want Bryson to hear as well. Appreciate you, T-Love Lady. She says, hey, fellas, tuning in late, but glad I could catch it. Wish Bryson the best for us. Dealt with the same issue a few years ago. Scary stuff. Keep pounding. Panthers win and Jays win. Great week. Happy for you on them Blue Jays, man. My baseball love fizzled out in a ball of fury against some Milwaukee hillbillies that ended up getting swept right after.
Yeah, at least you didn't get swept in that.
Yeah. I'll take the Game 5 heartbreak, man. That at least made me feel like I was hanging in there.
I had a slow death in that one. That was brutal.
Man. I know it. But yeah, thank you very much, T-Love Lady. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And honestly, thank everyone for the kind comments throughout this. So, all right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. We have guys. It's an hour in. We're an hour in, and we're first talking about Bryce Young here.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's team football. Holy shit! Like, man.
So Bryce Young's day-to-day, as they're going to call it, with an ankle injury. Ricky, honestly, I honestly thought the decision would have been made by this point. If we were going to, I didn't know if we were going to have a conversation of, is Bryce Young going to play this week or not? I thought after today, we were going to have a pretty clear-cut answer. And maybe you think we do already. But there's a lot of unknown right now. And this team is playing things close to the vest, and have been. There's already been reports from the big wigs of the world, the Ian Rappaports, the Adam Schefters. Andy Dalton's a starter. Bryce Young's out. They're standing firm on that. And Dave Canales saying, no. We're going to see how this thing plays out. Bryce Young wants to play. We want to play. We want to see him play in this one. Ricky, are you buying any of it? Is it just a heaping pile of dog shit? And so answer that part, and then we'll dive into the rest.
Okay. I don't think it's total smoke being blown. I think that when you hear the exact way that it's worded, right, of Bryce wants to push this thing, we want to push this thing, everybody in the locker room wants Bryce to play, including Andy, and saying that we're going to ramp up and see what he could do on a day-to-day. And then you hear the reporting, right? He did more today than he did Tuesday. He was a DNP officially listed today, but we saw the videos out of practice, right? We saw the reportings out of practice. He was doing some conditioning stuff. He was doing a little bit of, resistance work with the bands, putting a little bit of strain on it. He did a couple of throws. I did think that I saw when he went over, I believe it was a video from Vashti for Carolina Blitz, that when he went over and he spoke to a staff member, I'm not sure if it was a training or if it was, a coaching staff, but he went over and he spoke in the way that like he was pantomiming essentially, right? If you're trying to like just read body language and things like that, he told him something and then acted as if he was turning, right? Pivoting, which would insinuate planting, I'm assuming. And when he did that, he shook his ankle out a little bit and he was shaking his head no when he was doing it. To me, that seemed to come across to me like he was saying, yeah, it's still not there when it comes to planting and turning. That was when he came out from doing the light tossing. But in the light tossing, you could see him not turning his hips and planting. He was literally standing stationary and throwing. When he tried to turn his hips, his facial expression changed. So I think that he does have a hindrance still going. I think everyone was really excited about saying there was no limp, came out with no limp, right? And he looked great. That's a huge plus and a huge optimism cloud above this entire situation, though, because even if he were to miss Sunday, if he's even on the field trying to do any of this and not in the boot right now, he's got a really good chance of getting back after 1 week missed, if that's all it takes. This may be a stretch, man, getting him in for 1 week. But I don't think it's all smoke. I think that they want very badly to have Bryce Young out there if he can be out there, because I think that he's shown exactly what he can do for this offense and the way that he opens up the offense for everybody involved.
Yeah, I don't know if it's smoke. Like I truly think he wants to go out there and prove that he can play, through this. So I don't buy that. And I do think Canales truly wants to see him fight, see if he can fight through this and get to Sunday. And we'll talk about, whether we agree or disagree with that in a little bit. But Ricky, I'm glad you brought some of that stuff up because I watched that Vashti video and I didn't pick up on some of that. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
I might also just be reading entirely too much into it, Curtis. That's something that I do often. But I think that when you see him making certain movements, right, and then shaking that leg out like that while shaking his head no,
yeah,
that's something to it, right?
Yeah, 100%. I do think, like you said, I think the no limp is huge because he was limping and it was pretty obvious in that game when he came out into the tunnel. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate that he's trying to, prove that he can come back in here and try to play on Sunday. I don't hate that at all. Like I love that. I love the fight and the drive to want to do that. And for all that bullshit, talk about pre-draft, small guy in the room, not going to last, durability issues,
Talk about it.
Too short. That's bullshit, man. I mean, that guy, you look at his entire class of QBs, he's lasted more than any of them. And he had a high ankle sprain and he came back after 1 game in his rookie season.
And he finished that game against the Saints.
Exactly. So I think it's pretty realistic to think he's probably going to be out this week just based off of that. But I mean, we've seen crazier things. Let's go to the well, no, let's talk about the play, and then we'll go to, do we think he should, if he can play this week, do you want him to see him out there type of thing? Let's talk about the play because we didn't discuss that. And I think someone in the chat earlier had said, what'd you think of the trip? Let's call it the trip. On the Jets
Can we ask the chat to do something while we pose this question?
Yes.
Curtis? Can we ask the chat, because I want to go into another segment right after we do this part. Can we ask you guys, what would you rate Bryce Young's performance on Sunday? Like, did you think that he played 1 out of 10, right? To the absolute worst to the absolute best. I'd love to know your individual ratings for Bryce Young's performance, because I have seen a lot of things that I cannot disagree more with. So sorry, Curtis, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to hear that because I think it's
I didn't want to go down that tunnel, but I guess you brought.
I do. I want to go down that tunnel. I want to go down that tunnel.
I'm tired of that tunnel, but
no, I want to barrel through it. I want to jump in the Batmobile and I want to drive 220 miles an hour down that tunnel.
I've seen you on Twitter. You've been fired up about it. But no, let's talk about the play for a second. Guy steps on his calf. What did you think of it? You think the tripping should have been called? What did you think of the play? And then even the Jets social media page posted about it. Like, what are we doing here?
Where is the self-awareness, first of all, from the Jets social media team? Like, the guy is hurt. Everybody who has any kind of lick of sense has said that it probably at the least should have been acknowledged as a tripping penalty, right? There was not a natural movement to get the cleat inside on Bryce Young like that. It was at least a tripping. Was it an intentional gouging trying to hurt him? I don't know, man. I don't like putting my assumptions on people's intentions. I feel like that's one of those things that the world will bank against me and will make me, answer that check or make me cash that check in life in a karmic way. And I don't really think I want anything to do with that. But I do think that it was tripping. I think that it sucked. I think that the Jets social media team sucks. I think that the Jets suck. You're 0-7 and you're laughing about, hey, you don't want to see this guy? Dude, you had to hurt our quarterback to even have a chance. This game would not have been 13-6 or whatever the hell it was. It just wouldn't have been. This game would have been 2023 to 3 or 6. Like, we would have won this by an easy 2 or 3 scores, if you want my honest opinion. And I'm not just saying that because I said that we would win 24-10. I genuinely think that we were on our way to 23 points in that game, and that this would have been an entirely different conversation, and that we would have been talking about this game against Buffalo, talking about, man, should we be favored? Like, I think that we would be having some delusional feelings about doing all this. Wait a minute. Did 9 get hurt after the Knicks got hit or after? After.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. Go ahead, Shan. Talk it. Hey, hold on. We missed a super chat as well, Curtis.
Yeah, we did. We'll go back to that, but I do want to talk about the injury for a second.
Okay.
It was dirty as hell, man. Come on.
There you go.
Don't butter it up. That's some bullshit. Like,
hey, you're the one who tried to downplay the Knicks got hit and say it was a flag. I'm just trying to balance us out here.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. Bryce Young, that should have been a flag. That was a flag every day of the week on Patrick Mahomes. Like, let's be real here. Fair. Like, that should have been called, and that wasn't a natural movement. That guy was almost doing the splits to get his ass down.
Like, I said it was not a natural movement.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm just going off. I'm ranting. Okay. Like, come on.
You looked at the camera like you were ready to throw up Tim Jackson and Tom
That was not that. No one's natural at doing that shit. Come on, let's be real here. So yeah, that absolutely should have been a penalty. I thought it was bullshit. It got brushed over, and man, I would really love a Michael Jordan flu game out of Bryce Young. I'll leave it there. I don't want to keep going, but let's go to the super chat. Panthers need to rest Bryce Young. I guess this is a good segue. And actually, this is Zachary Hernandez.
I saw him say that. Yeah, I was going to say this. I didn't realize he left his tag right there at the end.
We had sent him some stuff. He was one of our, I think it was one of our first. He was our first member.
He's always in, man.
He was our first member. $20. So first, cheers to you. Appreciate you, Zachary.
Good to see you. Sorry that I didn't realize who you were earlier, and I was like, I hadn't seen him.
I didn't realize, like, when you become a member, you can change your name to anything, it sounds like.
I love it. Good stuff, man. Come up with the craziest names.
Yeah, I feel like we were just trying to get us to get stumped here.
Panthers need to rest Bryce. We have seen in the past how this franchise has handled injuries in the past, especially with Newton. Let BY9 rest up and let Andy be a game manager and hope Bryson feels better. First of all, appreciate that for Bryson. Everybody should hope that Bryson feels better because this show gets like 66% more attractive when he's on here. Instead, y'all just have to hear me and Curtis yelling at each other, and we're not even yelling at each other. I thought he was yelling at me, guys. I just thought that he was coming at me the way he was staring at that camera, and he was just getting angry at himself because he's wearing a Dalmatian shirt, and they're just volatile little dogs, you know? So, yeah, we need Bryson back, but thank you for the kind words. As far as the injury thing, Curtis, what do you think? Should they rest Bryce? Now, Zachary, I want to know your opinion on this, so put it in the chat. Are you saying that even if Bryce says that he's comfortable and he's healthy and he's good enough to go, and the coaching staff thinks that he has a very real chance of going, that they should just err on caution and not push it? And then, Curtis, what are your thoughts on that?
Do I want to see Bryce Young? 100%. I ain't going to pay for season tickets to go see Andy Dalton throw ducks all around and get my wide receivers killed every game. So, yes, I want to see Bryce Young out there. I don't think Andy Dalton. I think there's a night and day difference between the two, and some might argue with that. But Andy Dalton is not what you saw in Andy Dalton in the Raiders game last year. That's not reality. That was versus one of the worst NFL teams in the league. So, yeah, I want to see Bryce. I think Bryce gives us the best chance to win this game this weekend in Buffalo, against Buffalo in Carolina. And I get let's save him. We got division games coming down the pike. I just believe in Bryce Young, and I think if he works at enough, I think he could be healthy enough to play in this game. Now, if he's not and he doesn't think he's ready to go, I'm all for it. Save him. Let's go steal winning Green Bay next week so I can throw it down my buddies' throats all day long when they win in Lambeau Field next weekend. So, but yeah, I want to see him out there. Like, I want to see. He's been taking steps every week. No turnovers this past week. No turnovers in Dallas, he did have one off T-Mac's hands. But he's making improvements, and I want to see that trajectory keep going on an upward. trend. So yeah, I want to see him out there. I'm not worried if Andy Dalton's in there. I think Canales is fully behind Bryce Young, so I have no concern there. I don't even care if Carolina wins this upcoming weekend. I don't think it's going to be because of Andy Dalton. I think it's going to be because of the defense and the run game. So I don't have any concerns with that at all, but I do want to see Bryce Young out there.
I do have concerns with Andy Dalton, but we're going to get into that, so I'm not going to say too much. For Bryce Young and the injury, if Bryce Young says he's good to go, if he gets clearance from the doctors, I want Bryce Young to play on Sunday. The minute that Bryce Young is healthy and the minute that Bryce Young is not in immediate danger of re-injuring his ankle, I want him playing football for the Carolina Panthers, especially if that means keeping Andy Dalton off the field for the Carolina Panthers. I want to go to a comment real quick because this right here is maybe one of my favorite things I've had to think about here for a second. Andy gets benched for a hooker or White. First of all, this sounds like a title of an episode for like The Deuce on HBO, right? Andy gets benched for hooker or White. Like this sounds like some sort of problem in the 70s in the Bronx, New York, right? Like I don't know what we're even discussing, but I do love that they signed Mike White, who was on the Bills practice squad. Love a good little bit of insider trading, right? I absolutely love when that happens. We did it with Lonnie Johnson, I feel like, a little bit last year. Now, Lonnie actually contributed and played some ball, but I feel like with the initial intent with Lonnie Johnson was to go ahead, bring a guy in who knew a little bit of the secrets, right? He knew 14 of the Colonel's 17 spices, and he was willing to tell us, and then we just had to workshop the last 3, right? So I love that. I think that Mike White can do that. The only problem is that Mike White hates Josh Allen. He could tell us they're playing all damn day, but what Josh Allen does on Sundays is special. But I do think that that's an interesting. Andy's not going to get benched for Hendon Hooker. They brought Mike White in because Hendon Hooker isn't ready to see an NFL field. Hendon Hooker is a developmental project for this staff because they believe in themselves very, very much. That's my opinion on that. Can we get to this other super chat real quick, Curtis? Carter, good friend of the show. Carter, what's up, man? Hope you're well tonight. So join late. I am worried sick about Andy on Sunday. Same. The Panthers are going to get fucked by Josh Allen. Woo! I really wish that you would have minced your words a little bit there, Carter. I'm just kidding. I love the bluntness, man, because I have that worry myself. Maybe not as visual. But we are going to mess up the Bills' DB room. I love how he says the Panthers are going to get fucked by Josh Allen, but we're going to mess up the Bills' DB room. Like, it's like a PG movie just in case somebody accidentally read the first part, right? Like, Carter, interesting analysis there. I do love the way that you swapped from vulgar to earmuffs in a split second. I love that about you.
First off.
Cheers, bro. Thanks for being here, even if you are a little bit late. And don't worry about being late, man. You know us. We're a marathon, not a sprint. We're on here forever. We got tons of beer to drink.
I feel like you'd appreciate that comment.
Maybe he will buy us food first. He might, a couple Staten Island glizzies.
I mean, I think everyone's nervous for Josh Allen. I mean, the guy was the MVP last year and is playing really well this season. Has had the 4 interceptions. You want to lay that out there. And we'll talk about that later, I'm sure, when we get to the actual preview matchup. But yeah, I mean, Josh.
What was this comment from Joko? You see this? Yo, if we win, I'll send 50. Is that okay with you, Ricky? Do whatever. If we win, you send whatever you want, man. We win, we're gonna be sitting here drinking champagne or beer or wine or whatever we can get our grubby little hands on and playing that song. Which, by the way, Curtis, it's been a couple minutes since
it has been.
What do you think? I can't believe you put Alex's comment up there during the damn video. I'm glad that y'all can't see what we're doing, by the way, during the videos, because I am almost always like cow poking my way through the entire video, getting another beer, doing something ridiculous. So yeah, it's a fun time over here.
We got to highlight special teams for a second, then we'll get into statistically speaking. Sam Martin, we're back to back to back players of the week. I think it was Rico, then it was Fitzgerald, and now we have Sam Martin, special teams player of the week for the NFC. I want to say, hopefully I have this right, 6 punts within the 20, inside the 20. Yep. And he had a long of 63, I believe. So just a big day overall for the special teams in his legs. So appreciate him. A guy, we talked about like, hey, maybe this is pretty similar to Johnny Hecker of last year, but he's had some really good punts. And ever since the one they gave up, knock on wood, I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
Like they have held up their end of the bargain on special teams.
I think when we talked about would it be similar to Johnny Hecker, this is similar to Johnny Hecker, but the Johnny Hecker that we wished we were still having, right? Like the Johnny Hecker that was able to flip the field, the Johnny Hecker that was able to change field position, and it could pin you with accuracy. That's what Sam Martin has proven to do right now. What I was worried about with Sam in the preseason was he seemed to be out kicking his coverage far too often and leaving it open. Even the situation with Marcus Jones in New England was not that. That was just poor coverage on the coverage team. That was poor tackling. But his punts have had really nice balance of the hang time and distance. I mean, he has really calibrated this to a really nice landing spot for him. And I've been very impressed and very happy with the signing. I have nothing negative to say. And let's not forget that this is the Sam Martin revenge game on Sunday.
Oh, good point.
Have you heard that anywhere else? Because I haven't.
Oh,
it's the Sam Martin revenge game, folks.
Everyone's talking about the Shaq Thompson revenge game. What about the Sam Martin revenge game, folks? You heard it here first.
One of those two players might make a bigger impact, and I'm hoping it ain't old man Shaq.
Well, Kitty Lid Alex here wants to see the Ricky dance.
I'm just a cowpoke.
Oh my God. Cheers.
Hey, look, man, here's the problem. Here's the problem with doing a podcast and offering these super chats. You guys pay and ask politely, and I'm already 2 or 3 beers in. The worst part of it is I'm probably going to say yes, and I'm probably going to do some shit.
Alex, I do want to know, I hope you saw some Panthers fans this past weekend visit your bar up there in New York. So let us know in the comments. I hope some folks traveled out your way. And Ricky, help me out. What's the name of the bar?
I'm sorry. The throwback.
Thank you. The throwback.
I got to answer this because Joko is a member, and we've been slacking on getting the members up. But he says Ricky's seen Chase on with the Patriots. He's balling. Joko, I don't even know what to say about that, man. To be completely honest, I don't understand how he went from the pits of hell and sand with us with tennis balls and all kinds of things, and now all of a sudden he's playing NFL football. But also, it's the position that you asked him to play. It's the responsibilities you asked him to do. I'm not going to be mad at a player for finding his footing in the NFL. I sure wish that he could have done it here. I sure wish that a lot of the players that had opportunities to do it here in Carolina would have done it here, because I'd be a happier person for the last 4 or 5 years. But we're winning now. We got our guys now. And I wanted, if I can, there was another thing, and I'm going to transition right into this, because he says, do we have the defensive rookie of the year on our team? This is Young Soja 1. I'm assuming you're talking about Nick Scorton. I don't think that we're at that element right now with Nick Scorton. I think that Nick Scorton has been a tremendous player for us. But when you talk about rookies of the year defensively, I think that you got to look at guys like Carson Schwessinger in Cleveland, who is going to rack up a lot of tackles. Hell, one of my guys I liked a whole lot, Jacob Parrish, is making some big plays out there in Tampa. I don't
think Scorton is far off, though, dude. I don't
think he's far off, but I think that he's going to have to continue with the counting statistics.
Yeah, but you rack up another sack or two. I mean, you're talking. I mean, that's
he's at 1.5 sacks right now, though.
I mean, you get to 3 or 4.
I look at.
Yeah, I think I want. I mean, I looked at the rankings statistically and what PFF wants to put out there, and you got to take them with a grain of salt. But he's in the top 5 of that group right now.
I think that if you look at it strictly from how good of football is he playing, then I think you have a real argument for it, in my opinion, and what value he proves to his team. But if you look at
they're going to
counting
show up in the stat
statistics,
sheet.
if you look at counting statistics, which is where a lot of those awards are given from,
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a really hard time bypassing some of those guys that are going to end up with like 75 to 100 tackles.
Alex did give an update. He said, "Bro, it was lit. Our best sales by 1,000." I love that. I hope we played a part in that. Hopefully.
Hell yeah, dude!
Love that,
Congratulations,
Alex. Again,
good job, Panthers fans going out there and spending some money too. If that was y'all, I appreciate that.
Michael Cuddy becoming a YouTube member. Appreciate you. Cheers to you
Cuddy.
in Florida.
I
hope you're enjoying it.
And yeah, Panther Dog, that's a great point. He missed 3 or 4 sacks by a small margin this weekend. He missed 2 or 3 sacks earlier in the year. And that's what I was trying to convey when I said he was still calibrating, right? He's figuring out when to put his foot all the way down on the pedal and when to play a little bit more on the balls of his feet, right? So that he can still move and so that he can still hold up and so he can still stop. Because he is one of those guys that when inertia, right? Once he gets going, it's difficult to pull all the way back. And that's why sometimes you can see him overplay. He is a big, strong, fast guy. And when he gets going 100 miles an hour, man, he can't just slam the brakes. He needs one of those big old piles of dirt to stop in, right, on the highway, like for an errant tractor trailer. And that ain't always out there on the field. So for Nick Scorton, I think he's just figuring out what works best. What is my best approach? What is my best path to the passer? And in this game, the sack that he had, that's what I was most impressed with. You saw it, man. First of all, he had the nuance of his responsibilities at the beginning is that he played his tackle, Armand Membu, played him to the outside shoulder, which freed up Trayvon Merrick to come through and get towards the passer, which pushed the passer inside. Nick Scorton the entire time is holding on, but using his eyes, looking up and identifying the clearest path. When he found it, he shed and he went, and he nailed it for a sack. It was a beautiful, beautiful play.
Yeah, I want to go to Joko here, kind of off topic, and we'll get to statistically speaking, but Stroud, I saw the comparison this week, I think, and I wish I had the tweet out here as like the last 17 games between Bryce Young and him, and these guys are going to be compared for the rest of their careers. We're tied to that already. We already know that. But Bryce Young showing out, playing well. CJ Stroud going through the struggles Bryce Young did in year one. So again, I think it goes to show you got to let this thing play out. You really don't know until you know. Like it's still even early. Like these guys both, I think, are going to have great careers, and that's okay. But the tides are shifting a little bit, and I think folks, you don't hear that conversation much anymore. That doesn't come up very often, because I think people are starting to realize that when Bryce Young does have a supporting cast and he's got weapons and guys that can separate and get open, it's changing the tune a little bit here. So we don't really need to dive too much into that, but I do want to get into statistically speaking, Ricky. Let's do this thing.
All right. Let's take a look. Start with the Carolina Panthers offense, Curtis. This is still about where it was last week. There's not really anything major that changed because what works is what worked. The game flow kind of played into exactly what per game. I think we dropped by about like 1.5 points. We got 20.7 points per game for the Carolina Panthers. That's tied for 23rd in the NFL. Passing yards per game, we're tied for 26 at 186.6 yards per game. Rushing yards per game, 140.1. That is third best in the NFL. Love to see that. I know that is heavily skewed with the 200-yard performances from Rico, but then you look at this week against the New York Jets team. It is not a bad defense, man. I think there are so many people that want to point to this game from an offensive standpoint for the Panthers, and we got to go back to that question that I posed to the chat and rating the Bryce Young performance because we didn't even talk about that, and I'm not letting that go. I want parts. But rushing yards per game, 140.1. This was a good performance from the ground game. I thought a very difficult opponent. EPA per pass, negative 0.14. That is 26. Still a very inefficient passing game for the Carolina Panthers that is not threatening and adding much in the way of points on the board. EPA per rush, on the other hand, is tied for fourth best in the NFL at plus 0.04 points added per rushing attempt. 54.5% of the time the Carolina Panthers are throwing the ball. That is 21st in the NFL. This is a good thing for us because when we played the Miami Dolphins, we were second most passing in the NFL. Second most. That is when the tide turned, and we realized that we could run over people that were not up to our level. And they have been doing that. They have been calling more run plays. I know that all of the people that have agendas that dislike Bryce Young are loving the fact that he's only throwing for 189 to 220 yards per game. But the total offense in those games is hovering around 400 yards. That is the number to look at.
No doubt.
Right. Yeah, no, Rico's been fantastic. But that is the number to look at is total offense, right? You take that 186 passing yards and that 140, you're averaging 326. And that isn't even telling the full story because we've been averaging damn near 200. So that is what you want to look at here. And then also, I don't want to skip past one of the most important figures on this here slide. If everybody will take your eyes and follow down to the bottom right side of that slide, Carolina Panthers in the W column right there, ladies and gentlemen, that's a 4. And then in that L column on the opposite side of the Carolina Panthers word mark, that's a 3. Curtis, I'm going to let you in on a secret, man. My son is in second grade now, and I have been helping him with his math homework in second grade. Now, he's academically gifted. He's in the AG classes. I have learned recently that 4 is bigger than 3. We have more wins than losses for the Carolina Panthers football team after 7 games in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to point that out because I'm so fucking happy about that.
We need a cheers to that. Everyone in the chat, cheers to that.
Cheers. We'll play that video as soon as we're done with statistically speaking.
Yeah, we're not playing. Yes, no, we're good.
All right, let's look at the defense. Defensively, these are the numbers, man, that like, remember we talked about like kind of like finding our sweet spot, right? Things are going to start evening out and they're going to start showing exactly who you are. I think this is our range, man. I really do. Points per game, 21.7, tied for 13th best mark in the NFL. Passing yards per game, we're allowing 203.1 passing yards per game, 10th best in the NFL. And that is interesting because we're going to look at the Bills later too. And there's some contrast there. You're going to say, oh, well, the Bills are so much better. Wait until you see those last figures on this slide, though. Rushing yards per game, 92.6 we're allowing. That is 8th best in the NFL. This Carolina Panthers run defense, man, clap for yourselves, clap for your families, clap for your dedication, clap for anything that has anything to do with this rushing defense for the Carolina Panthers. Because, wow, like I feel like I'm watching She's All That with Rachel Lee Cook every single week because he's taken the ugly girl, as Giro Evero has taken just the nerdiest little unassuming lady and turned her into the bee's knees and the queen of everybody's eye. This run defense has been fantastic. I appreciate the hell out of them, man. Makes football fun to watch. EPA per pass attempt, flat zeros. Flatline them. Tied for 19th in the NFL. EPA per rush, negative 0.11. Expected points added per rush, 7th in the NFL. So not only are they limiting yardage, but they're doing it in so that they're not even allowing big explosive plays anymore, man. They are eliminating the threat of the ground game for opponents. 59.3% of the time opponents are throwing the ball on us. That is 12th most in the NFL. That's the part that's really promising for me with this pass defense.
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing this because people are running on us all the time. We're not holding our ground from a secondary standpoint because people are running for 155 yards per game, which, by the way, isn't far off from what the Buffalo Bills are allowing per game. But last year, that's what it was. Our secondary was one of those happy byproducts, right? You're only getting thrown on 22 times a game. They shouldn't be throwing for more than 215 yards a game. But they're throwing the 12th most in the NFL against the secondary, and we're the 10th least passing yards per game. Hats off to the boys, man. Hats off to the boys.
Don't hold on. Go back to that because I need to go on a rant here for a second.
I love it.
I need everyone to step to the front of the room that called out Giro Evero last year. A guy who...
Here I am walking.
A guy who people were calling for his head. A guy who was blamed last year mightily for the worst defense in history. And he was a factor. There's no doubt about it. He was the coordinator. But this guy finally got some talent on that side of the ball this offseason and has proven with talent this defense can be effective. And if we're going to dog the defense and dog Evero when they suck, you also got to give him praise when the defense is playing well. You could say Dan Morgan's a GOAT. Someone said that in the chat for getting these players. But the blame was all on Evero last year, so you got to give him his flowers when they're playing well, too. You can't play two sides of the coin. So hats off to him. He's finally got some talent on that side of the ball. A lot of key free agent signings. They've hit a lot so far on these rookies defensively. But hats off to him. Stuck by his side this whole time because I didn't think Evero just forgot how to call plays. I just didn't think this talent level was up to par last year, and it's proving to be when you add some talent to this side of the ball, his defense can be effective. Cheers to him. He deserves the credit, and I wanted to make sure that didn't get swept under the rug.
Okay, yeah, I like it, man. I will say I was critical of Ejiro Evero, but I will also say that I believe he earned that criticism. But we're on to new beginnings, guys. Stuff your sorries in a sack. Let's move forward, right? In fact, let's move forward to the keys for the Carolina Panthers side of this. So I did a couple different things here. The first key for me on offense for the Carolina Panthers, 22% of the time so far this season, the Carolina Panthers have operated out of 12 personnel. That is 18th most in the NFL. If you go back, there are multiple games, especially early on in the season, they were under 10% usage. A lot of their best games, they have been closer to 35% usage of 12 personnel. A lot of that has to do with game flow. A lot of that has to do with matchup, being able to dictate what you want to do on offense, as opposed to having to play a certain brand to catch up to your opponent, right? I think that this is a really big thing for the Carolina Panthers because I think that what they've seen from Mitchell Evans, what they have seen from Tommy Tremble, but specifically what they have seen from those two on the field together, I think it's been tremendous to the success of this offense. When I watched Jalen Coker's return last week, Jalen Coker was more involved in the blocking element of the game than he was as a pass catcher. That bodes well, though, because it means he's buying into what this team does well. Bryson Tremaine is more involved as a blocker than a receiver, which also bodes well because that's what this team does well. Xavier Legette has been phenomenal in blocking. Tedero McMillan, he's your best pass catcher. Like, we don't have to talk too much about what he does with blocking because you ain't going to ask him to do it a whole lot, right? You want him out of the picture. You ain't throwing him in the middle. But if you want to run some insert blocking mechanisms with a guy like Jalen Coker, you want to run some insert with Bryson Tremaine or Xavier Legette, that works. That plays. But being able to run it with 12 personnel, and the reason why this is pertinent to me, all you need, you can run Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette out there and then run Mitchell Evans and Tommy Tremble out there. You could do that. And all of a sudden, you got guys. Mitchell Evans catches everything that's thrown his way. Xavier Legette just went 9 for 92 in a tutty. Jalen Coker's been security blanket. You've got options there that give you and give Canales what he wants. So that's something that I think is really important. I'd like to see that number. If we're able, and I will be able to do this next week, we go down and let's minimize that down, right? Let's focus that down into that percentage of usage for just week 8. We'll come back next week and we'll have that figure. And I am willing to bet you that if that figure is higher than 22 and close to that 30% range, we were in this game and it was a competitive football game. I'm willing to bet you if that's sub 18% on the 12 personnel, bet you we had a bad time next Sunday. 4.8% sack rate for the offense. Now, this is not the defense getting after it and creating and converting sacks. This is the offense. This is more so a quarterback statistic in the way that most people look at it and read it, because this is how often quarterback pressures are converting into sacks. We are 8th best in the NFL at a 4.8% sack rate.
Because number 9.
Because of 9. 9 does a lot of magic when pressure gets to him to avoid sacks. And this goes into a little bit of what I wanted to talk about with the performance of Bryce Young and where people think that we are with getting Andy Dalton as opposed to Bryce Young. But this is going to be a critical element because what Andy Dalton brings to the table is absolutely not this. When Andy Dalton faced pressure against the Jets in his limited snaps, right? His quarter and a half of football, anytime there was pressure, Andy did 2 things and he did them concurrently. He ran backwards and he ran sideways. And he did not throw accurate footballs. And he also got head starts and bailed out of pockets because he knows he does not have the athleticism, the acceleration to get away from pressure. If he reads and diagnoses pressure, his brain is already using a sped up clock. That's my read on it. I could be wrong about that. And maybe someone will tell me, hey, Ricky, shut up. That is the way that I see what Andy Dalton did. That is the way that I saw Andy Dalton in the preseason. We all remember the infamous sack of the 10-yard line. Not on the 10-yard line, but by the 10-yard line for Andy Dalton. He has had some trouble getting away from pressure, even when it comes to turf. This next one, I think, is critical. We saw our offense is starting to put up some points. We're starting to be a respectable unit. We only have 3 rushing touchdowns to our name. Bryce Young is responsible for one of those. That's tied for 24th in the league. If this team... Let's assume that Andy Dalton starts for the Carolina Panthers, right? If this team is going to hang and compete with the Buffalo Bills, they got to score touchdowns, not field goals. And Andy Dalton cannot be relied upon to execute in the red zone the way that Bryce Young has. You would be shocked to learn that the Panthers are a really good red zone efficiency team as far as scoring touchdowns. They are converting a lot of their trips into the red zone to touchdowns. And very much of that has to do with BY9. BY9 has made some terrific pocket maneuvering plays and creation plays that have resulted in touchdowns. That is not on the docket, Curtis. It's just not, man. That is not something that we will see on Sunday. Andy Dalton needs his work to be on schedule. Andy Dalton needs one read. Andy Dalton needs clean pockets. All of those things, if they happen, though, he's got it. He can succeed. I'm not trying to dog on Andy, but he needs much better circumstances than Bryce Young. So I think you got to get in the end zone with the ground game. Quickly on the defensive side of this, quarterback pressure rate, I said that I would keep this here until this changed, 26.3%. I will note something. I want to report something, breaking news live here on Panthers on Tap on Wednesday night. 31st in the league. If you guys recall,
it's gone up.
We've been 32nd. And hey, cheers to going up, Carolina Panthers. Cheers
6 sacks, man.
Cheers
6
to
sacks.
Robinson.
We'll do that.
Cheers to Derek Brown. Cheers to Uman Mielen. Cheers to Trayvon Merrick. The boys showed up and they showed out. So good for them, man. They made it better. The opponent's rushing rate inside the tackles. This is an important one. 39.6% of the time, opponents are rushing on the interior of our defensive line. That is 30th in the NFL. Go figure. We got Derek Brown, we got Bobby Brown, you got Ashawn Robinson, right? That's a problem. Cam Jackson's seen some run. But that is one of those contrasting statistics that I want to talk about that we always do on this segment. 1.11 yards before contact per rush attempt, 8th best in the NFL. That means we are moving that line of scrimmage. We are dominating. We're dictating it. We are getting our push almost all the time. 8th best in the NFL. 1.11 yards before contact. That needs to continue. And the reason for that, we'll talk about that as well. Curtis, do you want to take the Buffalo Bills segment of this?
I'm going to try. Bryson does it better than me, but right. I will try.
Go for it, bro.
Bills offense, 27.8 points per game. That's 4th in the NFL. No surprise there when he got the MVP. 227.3. Here we go, where the train wreck is coming down the track. 227.3 pass yards per game. That's 11th in the NFL. Rush yards per game. This is a big one. 151. That's 1st. That's a la James Cook. He is having an outstanding year for this team. Even with, I think he had a down game this past week, but he's still showing up to play. Really good back. EPA pass as 0.10. That's, if I have that right, 9th. Hopefully I can read that, Ricky. 9th. That's in correct. The NFL.
Yes, sir.
EPA rush, which is also 2nd, so 0.09. I mean, it's clear these numbers across the board.
A lot of low numbers on that offense.
This is an elite offense. Is this pass percentage?
Yeah, that's
not
the
pass
amount of
completion percentage okay.
that they throw the ball.
Gotcha.
Yes.
31st, 50.8. Well, when you're the number one rush team in the game, pretty much, do you really have to pass the ball?
But that's so dangerous too, because you look at those and percentages, right? And we did this with the defense for the Panthers, right? Our pass defense. Their passing yards per game, they're 11th most in the NFL, but they throw it the
not
second
much.
least.
Yeah.
Like,
and
they are a dynamic passing attack, man. Josh Allen is a cyborg.
And maybe this is, they don't have an elite receiver.
No, they don't.
Which is crazy. That's how good Josh Allen is.
Their best pass catcher is probably their tight end, and he has underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Khalil Shakir is a solid slot.
One, Kincaid was hurt too. Kincaid, I think he was hurt.
He was out. Week. I think he's going to be back. I think he'll be back. But then Dawson Knox is capable. Yeah. Keon Coleman is a talented individual,
but hasn't
put it together. Yeah. And I will tell you that Keon Coleman, I think, is a terrific matchup for Mike Jack. If we want to, you talk about those certain times where Mike Jack gets isolated in man, that's a matchup that don't scare me much. Keon Coleman and Mike Jack. I think Mike Jack will handle that very well. And then I think
don't know about that.
No, what does Keon Coleman do well?
He's got a body. His body. I think.
Yeah, but Mike Jack is 6'1", 205 pounds, and he positions himself better than anybody when he's face to face.
We'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
All right, let's go to the defense here. A little different. If you see the slides here. So 22.8 points per game. That's 17th in the NFL. Pass yards per game allowed. That's second, 167.2. Andy Dalton. This is where I get concerned, because I don't see Carolina probably throwing too much on this team. Here's the big one. We've talked about this for several weeks. This is huge. I think this has been a key for us the last couple of weeks. Carolina has faced some really poor against the run defenses. Rushing yards per game, 31st. So I think it's the Dolphins the worst, right? At 32.
That's right.
And the Buffalo Bills.
Cowboys, and then the Cowboys sandwich right underneath the Buffalo Bills. So if you liked what we did with those two,
this is the recipe right here.
What was that word, Curtis, that we used so damn much those 2 weeks?
Opportunity. That's it, folks. 156.3. We're talking double trouble. We need a different nickname for these guys. Like we use double trouble for.
Didn't someone call him Canadian Bacon?
Yeah, I like that. I saw that. I like that one. All right, EPA pass. That's 10th for minus 0.10 in the NFL. EPA rush is 26. Again, you see a theme here. Run the ball. Opportunity to run the ball. Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, mix them in. This is your opportunity to stay in this game, control the clock, keep the MVP off the field. It's that simple. It's 0.04 EPA rush, which is 26. Pass percentage against this defense. So I have that right. That's 26. Got the percent the teams throw on them, 52.5%. Again, the passing stuff, it's hard to read what Andy Dalton's going to do. I do think there is benefit for Andy to be getting the first team reps all week. I think him coming in, like you saw in the Jets game, is a hindrance to his game. When he is the known starter all week, I think that'll help him a little bit because they can game plan. You talk about structure with Andy Dalton. I think if you have a structure going into the game, that can suit him well. But I'm taking Bryce Young every day of the week.
So the last couple of weeks, Curtis, I've done like a little bit of another deep dive after this level, right? I've done like a second level. And there was something that I found when looking at like coverage usage and personnel usage for these two teams, these two defenses, that I kind of just want to point out if I can. These guys got ridiculously similar personnel usages and coverage rates on defense, the Carolina Panthers and the Buffalo Bills. I mean, like, it's freaky almost. They run out of base personnel. Carolina 21.5% of the time, Buffalo 24.2%. Carolina runs out of nickel personnel 59.2%, Buffalo 63.8%. Carolina runs out of dime 16%, Buffalo 11.4%. I mean, every single difference is accounted for right there in those three. That is what they run. That is what Carolina sees in practice. That is what Buffalo sees in practice, right? Now let's look at coverage rates. Here's another really interesting thing. There are only two elements to their coverage usages on defense that are significantly different. Buffalo plays cover 0, 1.5%. Not teams aren't going to play that high, by the way. Like 3.5 is like the highest in the league, or 4% is like the highest in the league. Carolina, 2%. So 1.5 and 2. Cover 1, Buffalo plays at 22.7. Here's one of the big differences. Carolina, 29.6. That's a big difference, 7%. Cover 2, Buffalo, 22.7%. Carolina, 22.2%. Buffalo for cover 3, 23.2%. Carolina, 25.6. Cover
Crazy.
4 for Buffalo, 11.9. For Carolina, 11.3. Cover 6 for Buffalo, 4.6. For Carolina, 3.9. The only other difference is two-man. Buffalo plays 8.8% of the time. Carolina, 1.5% of the time. This isn't going to be a defense that Carolina is surprised by.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's defense isn't going to be a defense that Buffalo is surprised by. Now, one more layer, if I may. Like an onion of statistics, right? Except it doesn't taste as bad. This shit is good for you. Buffalo, let's look at the pressure, okay? Let's dig a little bit into pressure because that matters. And it's going to matter a lot if Andy Dalton is the guy taking snaps from Cade Mays. Buffalo blitzes on 31.4% of snaps. They blitz on early down situations, 30.1%. They show simulated pressures 10.4% of the times. Now, here's where this is different for Carolina. We blitz 23.2%. We blitz on early down situations 19.1%. And we show simulated pressures 2.7%. We do not threaten with pressure the way that Buffalo does. For Andy Dalton, that's going to be a really interesting give and take battle, in my opinion, because Andy may be able to get a good first read if he can correctly identify pressures. And you want that from your veteran, right?
Yeah.
But if Andy doesn't make the correct read, or if the line doesn't protect the right way, Andy Dalton does not have the escapability to compensate for situations like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, and just going kind of against what we're talking about right here, is do you think Carolina tries to pressure Josh Allen more in this game, or do you think they try to just play him straight up and hope they can win?
I don't know, because, Josh Allen has been attacked a very similar way that Bryce Young has been attacked, where he's blitzed, about 20% of the time, something like that. But they don't want to overwhelm the blitz because he's been good at the blitz. They want you to have to really figure out the defense post-snap, right? Yeah. They want you to have to make a mistake. They want to get home with 4. They want to do that if they can. I think that for Carolina's sake, if you blitz Josh Allen, what you worry about is, does he just move into the pocket and become a live runner? Does he move up, right? If you're blitzing on the outside, now this is where the Trayvon Merricks and maybe even some Trevin Wallace, in my opinion,
where they spy him with Merrick.
Either you spy or you bring some inside blitzes. Mm-hmm. This would be a really cool time. I have wanted this to happen for a really long time because of Trayvon and Trevin's aggressiveness. Mm-hmm. I have really wanted to see some of those coffee house blitzes, which, if you don't know what that is, that's when someone comes up and they mug the line and then they turn around right before the snap and they look like they're dropping into coverage. And the minute that it's snapped, they come right back. They do like a U-turn basically and come right back. I'm really looking forward to see some of that. I want that really bad. But I don't know how they're going to attack Josh Allen, to be honest. And they haven't had a situation where they have to account for somebody like Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a 1-on-1. So it is going to be interesting to see. One last thing to do before we finish off with the keys, Curtis, the run concepts, because I focused only on the pass coverage and the coverage shells and the blitzing and stuff like that. Run concept faced. This is where the keys will kick in for you as well. Buffalo has faced outside zone 33.6% of the time, inside zone 22.1% of times, 8.1% power they faced. That is an area where Carolina has found some success recently.
You're talking defense, like what their defense
has faced these run concepts from offense. Yes. 33.6 outside zone, 22.1 inside zone, 8.1% power. Power is an element that Carolina has incorporated recently, and they have found some serious success with. I would like to see that continued because that 8.1 is not a huge figure. And it also
especially if you
shows
get Damian Lewis back too.
well, it also shows that their bookends, though, that they have for Buffalo, they've got good run defenders on the outside. And so that's not the way that defenses typically are attacking them. They're attacking them inside. 5.4% counter, 18.8% man rush concepts. Carolina has faced outside zone 21.9% of the time, inside zone 16.4, even lower. And then power is where they get people on the move, right? They're banking on getting confusion from the linebackers. They're getting linebackers in traffic. They're holding up, getting doubles on the interior guys, and they're moving guys out into space. 15.6% of the time, Carolina is faced with power, 2.3 counter, and then 25.8 man.
Before we go to the keys quick, we'll go to the keys here, but I just want to shout out Austin.
What's up, man?
Yeah, Austin. Great follow on Twitter if you don't follow him already.
Absolutely, man.
316.
Hey, how those Bugs do? Did the Bugs win tonight? They finish it off? I didn't get to watch because we were on here.
The Hornets?
Yeah. Austin wearing the Hornets jersey. I'm sure he watched it, man. He could probably tell us if they won.
I do believe they won. Yeah, they won 136 to 117.
Daggone, they scored a shit ton of points, didn't they? Hey, Stephen Belk, you said it, man. 10:57. Before we get to the keys, you know what we got to do. Hold on. Oz just got the new membership too. Hey, Oz, here's what you get, buddy. All right, Oz. Just wanted to give you a little drink intermission if you needed it there. Hey, Curtis, I'll jump on these keys real quick. How about that? And knock them out real quick. Good with you?
Let's do it.
Okay. Offensively for the Buffalo Bills, they run a shift motion pre-snap 62% of the time. That's sixth most in the NFL. I thought that was important because that was something that we saw give Carolina some fits in New England. But we also saw them play with a great amount of discipline against Miami.
Exactly.
This will be another challenge, I think, against maybe a more dangerous, right, threatening offense. So I'd like to see what happens with that. The rush rate inside the tackles, we just touched on this a little bit, Curtis, when we talked about the run concept space. Rush rate inside the tackles for the Bills, 50% of the time they're rushing inside the tackles. That's eighth most in the NFL. Do they try to match their typical approach and strength against what the Carolina Panthers are built to defend against and have had very obvious recent success against? That's a battle to watch, man. 25.7% quarterback pressure rate allowed. That is third best in the third best in the NFL. This Carolina Panthers pass rush that just enjoyed their most successful outing of the season by far will come in. They'll come back home to home cooking, right? Maybe go get themselves a four Supremes and a biscuit and some bow fries with some Cajun seasoning on it. Maybe a little honey mustard. I don't know if you got enough time. But when you get back and you do that, can you translate that success that you had in New Jersey? Can it become a Carolina thing? Because this is a real test. Deion Dawkins and that offensive line for the Bills, they're no joke. Defensively for the Buffalo Bills, their quarterback pressure rate is 34.7. That's right in the middle of the pack. But what's interesting to me, and I'm going to skip over that middle one real quick because I'm going to go down to the team sack rate, 7.8% is eighth best in the NFL. When they get there, they're finishing. Now, their time to pressure is something like 2.9. They don't have get-off real quick winners, right? But I believe it's AJ Epinesa is over there on that one side. I believe it's Gregory Rousseau on the other side. They have guys that have physical capability to win, and they have long, strong ends. And then Deion Walker, their rookie interior defensive lineman, the guy out of Kentucky that I was not high on. I know a lot of other people really liked him. He had dealing with a back injury, lost a lot of explosiveness. He has been formidable, to say the least, for them. That is going to be really interesting to see that how he does. Ed Oliver also is
They're getting a
amended.
couple guys back too from suspensions too on the defensive side, aren't they?
Yeah, I can't remember who that was. If believe it or not,
Ogunjobi. Am
who
I
was it?
saying that right? I thought
Say it again.
Ogunjobi. I thought
Oh yeah, the interior.
yeah, he's coming
Yep,
back. Maxwell Harrison might be
yep.
his windows might be opened.
I don't worry much about
So
Maxwell Harrison. I don't worry much about him at all.
but there was one out there was
He's
one other
fast.
guy.
Maxwell Harrison's fast. He's also very frail. If you give me Xavier Legette against Maxwell Harrison, I'm throwing that 50-50 ball. And that's one thing that Andy will do.
Hey,
Andy will
don't
throw you.
forget they got Sam Franklin over there.
Oh, no, I did forget about that. And for good reason. He ain't making much of an impact. Now, they do also have Curtis Samuel. And so when I look at that shift motion
Yeah.
rate, I look at Curtis Samuel and I just beg you, please don't let us get smoked by Curtis
Yeah,
Samuel.
we don't
Because
need a
that is not a
revenge
narrative
game
I
out
want
of
to have to
him.
deal with. But then let's go back to that middle one real quick. That yards after contact per rush attempt. They are dead last in the NFL at 32nd. Or no, wait, that's the wrong thing. 32nd is incorrect. They should be number 1, yards after contact per rush attempt. That is best in the NFL. I think that I had that skewed upside down. Yards after contact per rush attempt is 4.38. That is best in the NFL, not 32nd. So that is something to keep in mind. And that is why when I touched on earlier, our yards before contact per rush attempt, right, at 1.11, that's a battle that we have to win. We need to get our hands on them quickly. We need to be strong at the point of attack and at the point of contact against their runners. And a lot of that, too, there isn't just James Cook. It isn't just Ray Davis, right? A lot of that is Josh Allen. Their rushing game, and this is why, like, if you look at their percentages of rush rate inside and rush rate outside the tackle, there's like a big discrepancy. There's like 8 or 9% that's missing. It's because that's 8 or 9% that is accounted for just Josh Allen creating magic, man. And he is responsible for a lot of their. I believe James Cook has like 21 rushes or 15 rushes of over 10 yards. And I think that Josh Allen has like 12. Like he is explosive. He is dynamic. He's hard to tackle. He will run through arm tackles, and he does not give himself up on slides. He will run through you. So those are my keys for the game. Curtis, what do you think?
I do want to go back to something because I know you've been itching to talk about this, and we kind of
Finally, motherfucker.
we got off of it, and I know you've been itching for it, and I got to go back because I know it was way up here.
Way back.
Um,
I want to talk about Bryce Young.
Yeah, so we're gonna go back, and then we'll
because we spent the whole show not talking about him because we're good football, people that don't want to just make it about the quarterback.
And I
now I want to make it about the quarterback, and I want to talk. We had
a lot of comments, so I'm struggling to find this. It's way up there. I know.
Shout out the chat, by the way. If it's taking him this long to find it, we got 708 people watching the show right now. Almost as many comments, to be completely honest. Appreciate every single person that has been in here and doing this with us tonight.
Keep milking it because I can't find it.
Look, I mean, to keep milking it. I got it right here. You're talking about what did I rate for Bryce Young, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we asked chat, and I'll start with Shan here with his number. We asked the chat, what did Bryce Young, if you had to give him a 1 out of 10 grade for his performance on Sunday against the New York Jets? Shan gives him 7.5. Keaton gives him a 7. Sir Icy says 7 or 8. He don't got to do too much. He's like a Jalen Hurts. He isn't going to have crazy stats. Interesting. I get you. Keaton, I mean, if you're expecting dude to put up 200 yards and a half, you're watching the wrong quarterback. You're watching the wrong offense too. Zachary Hennett says 7 against a good defense, despite their record. Thank you, Zachary. I like that one a whole lot. And that's kind of like what I was talking about a little bit, right? Now, I don't see any other numbers here, so we'll use that as the barometer. Now, I'm going to tell you, Curtis, I'm very pleased with our listeners, first of all, and our viewers, because I think that the general consensus numbers for Bryce Young's performance in that game would be much lower. I saw a whole lot different reaction to Bryce Young's performance there. Talking about Andy Dalton came in and executed the offense just as well, if not better, than Bryce Young, and that we're actually going to see Xavier Legette take off because of Andy Dalton and not Bryce Young. All these kinds of things. I'm going to tell you what I saw, Curtis. Okay? I saw a whole lot of mitigation by incompletion. And what I mean by that, offensive line allowed some pressures. Austin Corbett had a difficult day in pass pro, I think. Xavier Legette was a bright spot in his ability to catch the ball. But even from a conceptual standpoint, this defense for the Jets was pretty stingy. They limited what we were able to do downfield. They were sticky in coverage. I think that a lot of the plays that when you look at completion percentage, I think a lot of it was on purpose, man. And you watch the incompletions. Bryce is doing exactly what fans have been begging him to do, and that's to not turn the ball over, right? Like this poor quarterback, man. I'm serious about this, dude. I hate to say this about a guy who's making millions of dollars and who is beloved by many people. This poor quarterback can't win with this fan base. You beg him not to make turnovers. And so then when there's no one open and he puts a ball 2 feet in front of a receiver who's not open, by the way, he puts it in the ground 2 feet in front of him because that's the safest place to put it. Everyone's like, oh, so he can't hit, he can't throw. He can't throw to his receivers. So they can get picked off. Because here's the other part. JT Sanders, sorry. I don't mean to pile on, Curtis. This isn't a personal attack against you. I know how much you like him. The end zone throw that everyone was like, holy shit, what are you doing, Bryce? Right? He I think it was from like the 6 or the 7 yard line, something like that. And JT runs out. He stops his route. He just stops the route, man. Like there is no other explanation. I've watched it 10 or 15 different times, looking to see miscommunication, looking to see the opposite side of the field. What concept are they running over there? Am I wrong about what the call is, right? That looks to be an out. That looks to be a quick short out on that side. They ran a similar thing on the other side of that concept. He stops. He gets to his break and he quits. And if you look at when Bryce threw that football and where JT was and then assume the rest of that route, that's a touchdown. Not only is it not an errant looking throw, it's 6. And instead it wasn't. I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here, Curtis. And I hope to God this is not the case this week, because the only way for this not to get proven this week is to have a good performance by Andy Dalton and a win for the Carolina Panthers. Let me start by saying that. And that is what I hope. That is what I genuinely hope for, man. But I have a really bad feeling. If Bryce Young cannot play this Sunday, you're about to see exactly what his value is to this Carolina Panthers team. It doesn't matter. Chuba and Rico can run, and they're going to against this defense. But if the Bills get up and this ball is in Andy Dalton's hands and the Bills could tee off and send pressure, we'll talk next Wednesday. I'll just leave it there. We'll talk next Wednesday.
I'm not talking. This was your battle. I'll leave you there. I think you did it well. If I had to give a grade though quickly, I would say a 7. 7 for this game. I thought Bryce Young played well
and that's
enough.
Not bad, right?
He dirted the ball when he needed to, like you mentioned. Didn't force it. Jets played stingy defense in this game. And I thought he did well enough. And and you mentioned it before. If Bryce Young was still in that game, I do think it would have been about 23-6. Like I think they would have pulled away in the end. Carolina's like one of the top teams in the fourth quarter. That's when Bryce turns it on. There's no doubt about it. Let's get into the game. Let's do predictions here. Chat, let us know what you got for this prediction this week. Buffalo Bills coming to town. There's going to be tables. I'll be there. I'd like to jump through one. I feel like I'd be like the one where you see the video where like the table doesn't break. I'm too
like
damn
you bounce
small.
off of it or something.
I'm too small. maybe I'm high enough that thing might break. Or you like in the
jump
WWE
off a
days?
Train. I heard if you jump off of a train, you're high.
Well, no. The WWE days where like they crack the table pre.
Oh yeah.
Them I might be able to do it then. But no, let's talk about it. Ricky, what do you got for this weekend?
You want me to go first?
Or do you want me to go? I don't care.
I kind of want you.
All right.
No. I'll go. It's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. I'll go. First caveat, we don't know if Bryce Young is playing. if Bryce Young plays, my prediction literally changes. Like my winner and loser changes. I think that's how meaningful he is to this matchup. I am concerned about the Buffalo Bills coming out of the bye. I am concerned about their duality on offense. I am concerned that their secondary is decent and is better than they are given credit for. And I think that they were just kind of caught off guard and embarrassed a little bit against that Falcons team. And I think that we catch the brunt end of that, to be completely honest, if you want my real opinion. I think we can run on them. I think we will run on them. I wonder how long we're in the game flow to continue to emphasize the run on them without being handicapped into throwing the ball a lot. If we get into throwing the ball a lot, I am very concerned about the proposition of having a stationary quarterback behind this offensive line that has been solid but not terrific in pass pro. This has not been as good of a pass pro line, I think, as just like assumed because of, I don't know, the success that Bryce has had a little bit. And Bryce hasn't even had that great of success, so I'm not sure where that narrative comes from. I hate myself for doing this because I have given nothing but positive predictions recently. But I'm going to be realistic about this one for a second. I hope I'll start by saying I hope I am wrong as shit. I hope that I get to come back here with this hat on next week and with all of you and play that winning video again next week. I hope for that and I look forward to that. I think it's 33-20 Buffalo.
Man, we were close. I almost might want to change mine so we're not close, but yeah, I think this is where Carolina gets brought back down to reality with Bryce Young out. I think Bryce Young's going to push it. I'd love for him to play in this game.
If Bryce Young plays, do you change your prediction too?
Maybe.
Just win or loser, not score, right? Just win or loser. Do you change your prediction?
Maybe. But I think with Andy in there, I'm worried because I think Carolina, and you had it statistically speaking, I think Bryce Young does a lot to extend plays and make something out of nothing. And I don't think Andy Dalton adds any value to that whatsoever. He's like in quicksand when there's pressure. And we saw that even in the Jets game. There was a couple throws there at the end when he had pressure where he missed, I think, T-Mac at one. And honestly, he got pretty damn lucky in that Leggett throw too. So if Bryce was in there, I think Carolina's got a chance. I think this is a really good football game. I'm going to stick to my score. Fuck it. Let's go 35-17. Buffalo wins this one. Yeah, I was going to change it, maybe go like 28-17. But I do think if Andy is under center, Carolina, it's going to be tough sledding this game. I hope I'm wrong because the defense up to this point has held their own and they've done a really good job. Again, it's been against some ugly teams, but even they held Dallas to a serviceable number against one of the top offenses. So
yeah,
maybe we're not giving them enough credit right now. I'm worried about the offense and Andy Dalton. And that's my biggest concern because I saw what he did in preseason and I saw what he did even in cleanup duty in a couple of games. So that concerns me. I do want to see what the chat was kind of. I know you shuffled through those a little bit, but I wasn't really paying attention. I know Zachary here, 28-23, coin flip wins it. I mean, I hope so, man. I really do. I hope Andy wins this game. Like, I hope they do. I want nothing more than the Panthers.
I hope Bryce.
I think we both do. Yeah.
I hope Bryce plays it. But if Andy plays it, I'm worried. I will be ecstatic to be wrong. But one of the things that I have really tried to do so far, right? Even on this win streak that we're winning, I didn't just pick the Panthers because I wanted to be optimistic and like have a good time about it. I picked the Panthers because I truly believed in them winning. And what I don't want to do with predictions is start throwing out things just because I'm like, hey, I'm riding the high. I'm just going to ride the emotional lightning. I want to look at things subjectively so that we don't lose the integrity of what we're doing here by providing analysis with our opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I love doing opinion stuff. Like it's like writing, right? I love writing op-ed stuff. But if you have to do a recap of something or you have to do a journalistic story where you're giving the facts, you should give the facts, right? Those are two different lanes. And I think that when we're doing score predictions, man, I'm trying really hard to be legitimate about that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with Stephen Belk here, 26-31 Carolina. I would love to see that. Panthers dog, 28-21 Buffalo. Let's quickly talk, since we're talking about, we talk about Bryce Young, and I think Joko had it. If Bryce Young is in this game, what would be your score prediction? I'll go first, Ricky, so you can kind of think about it for a second. You guys know me. I'm more the pessimistic one. I had faith last week because I thought the Jets were just a really bad football team. And I was honestly kind of disappointed Carolina didn't pull away a little bit earlier in that game, if I'm being honest with you. In the Jets one before Bryce Young went out, I thought Carolina, you would have put together some more drives even with field goals. If I had to pick, I still think Carolina would lose, but I do think it's a close game. I will go 24-20 Buffalo. So I think it's competitive the whole way through. I just think Buffalo right now is the better football team. And that's kind of what I would go if Bryce Young is in there. But I do think it would be very close. And me leaning pessimistic, I could see them pulling this thing off. I really could. But I'm just not there yet until they beat the true powerhouse. Like Dallas is good, but like the Buffalo Bills of the world, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Chiefs, like those powerhouse top 5 like teams of the league right now. So
I'm going to start by going to this super chat real quick from Will Robinson 843. Great pod, gents. Keep pounding. Hey, Will, keep pounding, man. Don't give up on any of this hope just because we might have just picked the Bills right there. I'm about to go ahead and I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, Will's going to make me open up another beer.
Open up another beer because I was also going to do another thing real quick. Before I get into my actual prediction for what I think would happen with Bryce Young if he was in the game and what the final score would be, I can show you first, and then I'll tell you. I'll show you right now. So now let me tell you why we would be playing that victory video next Wednesday. It's not just because I think that Bryce Young would be so much greater and better and that he would win this game on his own against Josh Allen. It would be Josh Allen against Bryce Young, quarterback pandemonia, right? Like, no, that's not it. I'm a big believer in the personal element of football, the momentum, the X factor part of things, right? If Bryce Young were to come back from this injury, and I see this happen in sports all the time, if he were to come back early from this injury and he were to gut his way through, I think the entire football team rallies around him. I think that the coaching staff rallies around him. I think they already have a chip on their shoulder. And I think that's why they only lose this game by 13 if Andy Dalton is there. Because I think they have a chip on their shoulder and they don't just go quietly into the night. I just think they're outclassed. But if Bryce Young plays, I think that Bryce Young is a very good quarterback. I think that this defense says, hey, keep the game close and 9 wins it for us. That's a sentiment in that room, man. That is a damn sentiment in that room. Keep the game close and 9 wins it for us. So I think you might look at it, and if you want a final score prediction, 27-26 Carolina. I think Carolina wins it with a hair, and I think that hair takes them into Lambeau on a 4-game win streak, and I think we could talk some crazy shit then too. So if Bryce Young can come back from this game, hey, let's revisit it. We'll talk later this weekend, but if Bryce Young can play this game, man, I believe in this Carolina Panthers team.
You got me ready to run through a brick wall.
See?
I ain't kidding you, man. Maybe it's the beers talking, but hey, I like it.
It's definitely the beers talking, but it's also just us.
Well, no, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Almost 800 people in here on a Wednesday evening, almost 11:30 at night. We thank you to everyone for coming in here. All the folks that joined as members tonight, all the super chats, all the people who loved Ricky and Bryce, and I'm just here to provide support. I appreciate y'all.
Curtis is just a counterweight, huh?
No, seriously, we thank every single one of you guys for tuning in tonight, and hopefully we're talking about a 4-game winning streak next week that Ricky talked about. We would both love to see Bryce Young gut it out and get out there on Sunday. I think that would be huge. Could you imagine him being the lone guy running out of that tunnel with the smoke? Like
I just want to see him powerbomb Josh Allen through a table, right? On the 50.
No, we appreciate you guys this evening. Thank you so much. We had that chat, man. You guys were active tonight.
Chat.
Thank you guys.
Killer.
But hey, we'll be next week, and hopefully we're playing that video hot and heavy for y'all. But until then, keep pounding.